She said I won't be back in a while. Don't wait. Already packed her bags, called the cab, made space. And she said I won't answer if you call me when you're lonely. I guess I let her go. Never mind, it's too late. But I can't believe I let you slip. I think about it 7 days a week, and this just can't be how it's supposed to end.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. How is everybody doing this evening? Tara is with us, but she is muted. There she is.
I said some really creative things in those few seconds, too. I can't recreate this. Hi. How are you?
Hi. I could see you talking.
I see your lips moving, but nothing's coming out.
Hi, Ashley, King of Spades, only mods. Yep. Thank you so much for being here.
Pretty freaking
Eric,
good.
thank you. And Margaret, we appreciate you guys being here. So this evening, we're going to go over a couple of new documents that were filed. Gosh, when was that? It was just like a few days ago. I don't know.
My days are
I've lost track of time. So there's two filings. We're going to go over those. Tara's going to give a quick recap on Veronica and Jilian's case. For anybody that's here for Sebastian Rogers, if you're not acquainted with the case, Veronica and Jilian. So she'll do a quick recap on that for you guys. And then we are going to begin our, real coverage on Sebastian Rogers. And we'll talk about that once we go over these new filings. So I'm going to mute Taryn, if you don't mind sharing just kind of a good recap for those that may not be acquainted with that case.
I sure can. So the Veronica, I feel like I said that wrong. It's been a long day. And if you've been catching up with our Facebook, you know what's going on. But Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley went missing March 30th, the day before Easter of this year. And so there was, their car was found on a 2-track road just south of Elkhart, about 5 minutes from their destination point. They were on their way to pick up Veronica's children for a supervised visit. Long story short, there was an ugly custody battle between Veronica and the children's father, Wrangler. And so the day they went missing, Veronica and Jilian, who was the court-approved supervisor, were going to pick up Veronica's children from their paternal grandmother, Tiffany, to take them to a birthday party, which was taking place in Hugoton, and that is where Veronica and Jilian lived. After a couple of hours, family started to get a little concerned and decided to go look because they couldn't get a hold of them through their cell phones, as the cell phones are going straight to voicemail. And as they drove the route to the destination point, to the switch-off point, which was at a place called Four Corners, it's where two highways in Oklahoma meet. It's in the Oklahoma Panhandle. They found Veronica's car on this 2-track road. And they found just a scene that was very worrisome. There was blood. The car was abandoned. All the personal effects seemed to be there. So authorities were called in, and then the investigation started. OSBI was contacted pretty quickly. Local authorities realized they had more on their hands than they could probably manage alone. Over the course of 2 weeks, well, this is how Carrie got involved. Carrie went down to the Panhandle. There's a few folks that did, and Carrie was on the ground looking for about a week. And then if you were part of our last live, we had Joe Ray on, and he was one of those that were on horseback searching pastures. There wasn't a lot of official search parties out there, which kind of gave way to some suspicions that maybe the authorities knew more than what they were putting out there for the public to know, which makes sense because around 2 weeks after Veronica and Jilian went missing, their bodies were discovered. They were buried, and they were found together. And then there were 5 arrests. For a very quick sum up, I know for those of you in the chat who are just as well acquainted with the case as Carrie and I are, there's a lot more to it than that. There was cell phones that were pinging, there was burner phones that were pinging, but there was a lot of different things that went into the 5 arrests, excuse me, of Veronica and Jilian's passing. Some of those, one of the aspects of the arrest was that one of the accused has a minor child who provided information to the authorities that led up to the arrest, in addition to some other evidence. And so now those 5 sit in the, I believe, I always confuse Texas and Cimarron County, but I think it's Cimarron County Jail. The chat can correct me. I don't have my notes in front of me. It's been a long few days. But they sit in the county jail awaiting trial, but there's been hearings, which is the hearings are created off of motions. And that's one of the things we're going to discuss today, because there are at least 2 new motions that are in play that we want to go through with you guys today. So right now, the last few motions were about discovery. These are the things about the discovery revolves around evidence. Does defense have all the evidence available? Does the prosecution have all the evidence available? Have they been sharing all that information? And then there is a preliminary hearing scheduled tentatively for Cole Twombly, one of the accused. In fact, Cole and his wife Cora are 2 of the accused. And then Tiffany Adams, the paternal grandmother, has been accused. They're actually, I say accused, have actually all been charged. Tad Cullum has been a charge, and then Paul Grice has been charged. I'm going to look at the chat to see if I missed anything super important that needs to be shared. And I think maybe I captured it, but you guys are really, really great about making sure if I skipped a step, you guys catch me on it. Looks good so far. So this is where we are at today. Those 5 are going through all the motions of going through all the motions of motions. That sounds redundant. And the motions that we are looking at today, and Carrie, I don't know what's going on with your computer or what's going on with your side of things, but you've got 2 representations on the screen now. Oh, I see you changed in. You're sharing your screen. I'm so good at this, and I can't see the screen. Of course, I may have to do a refresh.
No.
Gosh, we've got to figure this out. This is ridiculous.
If anybody knows how to fix this on StreamYard, let us know, because we have this every single problem every time.
And I'm an admin this time. I have the same power as you do. So the computers don't like me. They don't want me here.
We thought that would work.
I can see it on I'm on the YouTube side of things, but so if we're not going to read the documents, that's fine. I can make do. But if we start doing audio crap like that, then I'm in trouble. But
I can read this one real quick. This one's simple. This is Paul's. This is, so the documents that came out. Oh, geez, there just went my microphone. The documents that came
We're organized
out,
today, folks. You're welcome.
I kind of hit the cord. They were the responses by Paul Grice and Tad Cullum regarding having that trial, or at least the preliminary version, combined, right? So we went over that last week.
Yes.
That is what they are asking for. You know, the state is asking for that preliminary hearing, trial, whatever you want to call it, the hearing, I guess, for that to be combined, where all 5 defendants will be together in court. So Paul Grice and Todd Cullum's attorneys have filed their responses to that. And the one I have on the screen now is Paul's. And let me see if I can get that just bigger for you guys. All right. Hopefully that's big enough. And I can't see the chat while I'm reading this. So
I'm watching it. Don't worry.
Okay, great. So this was filed August 27th. Preliminary hearing, joinder of defendants. And basically, I'm not going to read everything. It's kind of boring, to be honest, but it says the procedure for a single indictment or information includes a preliminary hearing. If the court enters a preliminary order joining multiple defendants that could have been joined in one information as co-defendants, then a single preliminary hearing involving all of the defendants at one time appears to be authorized. And so basically, Paul Grice and his defense team are just saying that that's fine. They agree joining multiple defendants for a single preliminary hearing when they could have been charged as co-defendants appears to be consistent with the court a criminal appeals preference for both justice and judicial economy. However, the decision appears to be within the discretion of the court. Okay, so no big deal on Paul's. He's just saying, yeah, I'm totally cool with this, no problem. And the next one, though, can you see that one, Tara?
On my little screen, but I can do a refresh, come in and I'll see it, which will have to be
Yeah,
every
you
time.
want to do that? Do you want to go over this one?
Yep, give me just a second. Be right
All right.
back.
So Tad's is a little bit different, and we have not yet heard from the other 3 defendants. So right now it's just Paul and Tad. Tad, his filing was also August 28th, and it is the defendant Column's motion for severance for preliminary hearing and memorandum in support. So basically, long story short, Tara's going to read this to you and what the reasonings are, but Tad does not want those hearings to be combined. So kind of an interesting little twist for me anyway. Now, can you see it?
No, but I'm going to make it work on my little guy screen. It'll be great.
Okay.
All right. So I'm literally using my cell phone, folks. That's why I look like I'm not paying attention. Okay. So defendant Cullum's motion for severance for preliminary hearing and memorandum in support comes down the defendant, Tad Cullum, by and through his attorney of record, Joy, we're going to pretend it's Joy, E. Miskell, and hereby moves that the preliminary hearing of his case remains severed from that of the other defendants charged in the information. In support thereof, defendant would show as follows, and then we're going to go into the facts and procedural background. Defendant Tad Burt Cullum was charged in the above captioned case with 2 counts of murder in the first degree, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree on April 12th, 2024. And then you need to scroll up for me. Defendants Cole Earl. I have to wait just a second so this thing catches up because this is silly. Can you hear me, Carrie? Can you scroll up for me? I don't know if Carrie can hear me or not. Let me pull this up on my...
I can hear you. I can't find where you're at, though.
Oh, I'm in the facts and procedural, and it's where they start mentioning Cole Twombly. So it's like the 3rd line of the 2nd paragraph. So I'm through what I see on the screen. I don't like StreamYard's. Let me see if I can pull up. See if I pull the file up myself, and maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I don't even see Cole Twombly on here.
On the Tad one?
Yeah.
That's weird because it's... So we're on top of it today, folks, but we're getting there. We're just going to... I'll just pull it up on my own to be fine.
There you go.
Okay. There we go. Dun, da, da, da. Okay. I can do this. There we are. So defendants...
Sweet.
Yes. So defendants Cole Earl Twombly and Tiffany Michelle Adams, Cora Gale, I think it's called Gale Twombly, were charged at the same time, and defendant Paul Jeremiah Grice was charged on April 24th, 2024. Although the state alleged the same counts in the information for all of these cases, the state also clearly understood the nature of the allegations, potential risk for contamination, and need for separate court proceedings in these cases. So we're on to the argument in authority. The federal rules of criminal procedure, particularly rules 8 and 14, govern the joinder and severance of offenses and defendants in criminal cases. So under Rule 8, offenses may be joined if they are of the same or similar character, based on the same transaction, or connected by a common scheme or plan. However, Rule 14 allows the court to separate trials if joinder would result in undue prejudice to the defendants. Defendant Cullum's preliminary hearing should remain severed from that of his co-defendants Twombly, Adams, Twombly, and Grice for the following reasons. If tried with co-defendants Twombly, Adams, Twombly, and Grice, defendant Cullum would be more like a specter at his own trial rather than a party dealing with prejudicial effect of guilt by association for co-defendant conduct in the alleged incident. The court will be inundated with evidence involving the co-defendants that does not at all relate to defendant Cullum. This will make it difficult for the court to give individual consideration to the case against defendant Cullum. In addition, the trial would place the defendants in an antagonistic position towards each other and to friendly witnesses on each other's behalf. Furthermore, a joint preliminary hearing would violate defendant Cullum's Sixth Amendment Confrontation Clause rights, as the nature of motions to exclude certain witnesses and evidence by the co-defendants would not necessarily align with defendant Cullum, thus creating a potential split decision situation whereby defendant Cullum or the co-defendants are unable to elicit evidence in their favor and or deny evidence prejudicial to them. So we have AA joint preliminary hearing creates potential prejudice to defendant Tad Cullum. So the United States Supreme Court has consistently recognized that improper joinder can result in prejudice to defendants, which would undermine the fairness of court proceedings. In the United States versus Lane, the court held that when improper joinders occurs, the result might be reversible error if there is actual prejudice to the defendant by casting doubt on the outcomes of the proceeding. In the present case, the consolidation of defendants' preliminary hearings would significantly prejudice defendant Cullum by presenting a risk that the court would find probable cause based on the cumulative weight of the evidence rather than the merits of charges against individual defendants. B. Maintaining severance of cases for preliminary hearing is necessary to protect defendant Cullum's right to a fair trial. The Bruton rule, however you say that, established in Bruton versus United States, underscores the importance of safeguarding defendants' constitutional rights to a fair trial, particularly regarding the right to confront witnesses testifying against them. In cases in which co-defendants' confessions or other potentially prejudicial evidence is involved, severance is necessary to prevent the violation of these rights. Similarly, the court held that joinder was improper in Knight versus Dunbar when the defendant was prejudiced by the court's denial of his request to several trials. In Wilson versus Morris, the court held that this protection of severance to ensure a fair trial extends to preliminary hearings. C. A joint preliminary hearing is at the discretion of the court. The risk of evidence confusion is a critical factor in determining whether or not to sever court proceedings, such as a preliminary hearing or trial. In Zafiro versus United States, the Supreme Court emphasized that even when there is some risk of prejudice, severance is not automatically required unless the risk of confusion or prejudice is significant. That is, the decision to grant or deny severance is left to the sound discretion of the trial court, and that's per Neal versus State. The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals has recognized that it is in the interest of both justice and economy to jointly charge and try those who have allegedly participated in the same criminal act, and the Court of Criminal Appeals has urged trial courts to do so whenever possible. One defendant's attempt to cast blame on the other is not in itself a sufficient reason to require separate trials. Fox v. State, Master v. State, see also United States v. Calabrese. And then similarly, mere conflicting defenses standing alone do not constitute the showing of prejudice necessary for judicial severance. However, antagonistic defenses may require that defendants be tried separately. Murray v. State. In reversing the district court's decision in Murray denying severance, this court said, however, in the instant case that respective defenses of Grizzle and Murray were mutually antagonistic, Grizzle's testimony and confession were such that only Murray could have done the shooting, while Murray's testimony and confession were such that only Grizzly could have done it. Denial of severance in the instant case would result in pitting the defendant against his co-defendant. To try both together was, in effect, to try each on the confession of the other. This is precisely the type of situation for which the court overturned a trial severance denial in Neal. In Van Woudenberg versus State, the Court of Criminal Appeals stated that defenses are antagonistic where each defendant is attempting to exculpate himself and inculpate his co-defendant. Moreover, the instant case The state recognized the importance of maintaining separate cases and the significant potential for bias by charging the defendants separately from the outset. The high risk of prejudice mandates maintaining severance. Limiting instructions cannot cure unfair prejudice stemming from evidence against co-defendants that has little or nothing to do with the defendant column. Bruton versus United States, Zafiro, that's in Zafiro, where the risk of prejudice is to an accused from a joint trial is high, it is more likely the district court will determine that a severance is warranted. The Supreme Court emphasized in Zafiro that the types of prejudice that case discusses were not exclusive. Each case must be judged on its own facts. Wherefore, defendant Cullum should be severed from the trial of his co-defendants. That is where we are at.
Wow. So what do you guys think about that? I was kind of surprised when that filing was made. And I was like, Tara, what's going on here?
So when Carrie sent me the document, she's like, "Ooh, look, there's more motions." And keep in mind, I'm in the hospital for my not mother-in-law who's had a massive heart attack. I'm trying to keep up with real life. And the only thing that gets my attention is Carrie sending me a text saying there's more motions. I'm like, how is there more motions? What are you talking now? Okay, you have my attention. What's up? And so she sends them to me. I look them over and I said, it looks like Paul wants to make sure things are combined. And then Tad wants to make sure he's at least separate from the others. And what Tad's is saying is that, look, you can't put me in the same court with these people because I'm just going to say they did it and they're going to say I did it. And you're not going to get any of us. We're all going to pit against, like he's trying to say, it's almost like he's saying without saying, and this is a speculation on my point. This is complete theory. It's complete, like, what if. It's almost as if the lawyers are like, there's some sort of communication between the defendants and Tiffany's like, go ahead, go up on that. Go tell them that I did it. I'm just going to say you did it too. So Carrie, you and I had a conversation offline that's like, and I think there's been some whispers of it, maybe some chatter about it in our chats before about what if they all didn't play equal parts? They've all got the same charges. Are they all equally responsible, culpable, guilty of all the same charges? And so what if Tad's saying, look, I held people down while other things happened, or I just tackled somebody, or I was just there driving a truck or whatever. Like, so maybe that's what he's trying to say, or I don't know.
Yeah,
so I think that's what it is.
I think. I agree with Ashley. I don't think it was equal. I definitely think, I mean, everything that they did was absolutely horrific, no matter how you look at it. But I do think that they all played different roles to a different extent. Whereas if you hold somebody down, that's a whole different scenario than if, I don't know.
So I can see let's say you've got these 5 charges, you've got these 5 people, they're all charged the same thing. Is the weight of those charges per defendant all that different when they all decided to act together, regardless of who did what? Somebody could have had the mindset. And in this case, let's say Paul, because it looks like he's trying to say, we all did this together. We should all go to court together. We should all be tried together. We should all go down together. Like, we're all guilty. It's almost what I hear Paul saying in his, again, that's my interpretation. That is not what that document is necessarily saying. But does it really matter who did what when the end result was the end result? 2 people lost their lives. 2 families were sorely impacted, and an entire community was uprooted at the national level. Like, does it really matter if somebody was just driving the truck, if they knew what was going on outside? Does it matter if somebody actually saw it happen versus being active in it? To me, it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of in the black and white zone, and that's not typical for me, but this is a really, really difficult case. I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out. And so there is another court hearing on the 18th. Let me remove that comment from the screen. Tara and I do plan on being there for that hearing. And that's when the judge should decide, are they going to combine all of the cases or not? So we'll see. That's only what,
I
2 more weeks. So
Yep.
hopefully,
Um,
and Cash, it's not smashed. Like if you look at it a little better, but yeah, I can edit it. I didn't
oh, the
definitely don't.
thumbnail.
I definitely don't mean any offense at all. Like I would never. But yeah, I can edit it.
I don't know. So maybe he's saying that to get the benefit of the paid lawyer. He might. That's a good point, Ashley. If Tad's got the
Possibly.
paid attorney, while the others have the essentially public defenders, is it just Tad that has the paid attorney, or is there two of them that have paid attorneys?
I
don't
believe
remember.
it's just Tad.
Okay.
And we're still wondering what's up with his medical issue. We haven't found that out yet, but hopefully
Not
we
yet.
will soon.
So, Eric, I'm kind of in the boat with you. I think they're all equally guilty. They were all there. They all participated. Just because you didn't pull the trigger, you didn't stop. And that's my thing. If you didn't stop it, especially if it's like, it's not premeditated though, right? That's not the charge, but I don't know if that's specific in Oklahoma or not. In Kansas it is, I think. I don't know. I'm not one to say, hey, this defendant is more guilty than this one and that one's less guilty. To me, nobody's less guilty than the other. And that's what trying to add a value to the charges against one of them. But I can appreciate the logic behind it, right? That's logistical. That makes sense. But if the end result was like, if one of them had stopped it or tried to stop it and they could prove it, that would be different for me. I mean, Paul did come forth, and as far as we know, he owned his actions. He's not pleading guilty like I'd like for him to, if that's the case. But I don't know. I know Ashley says Margaret DeYounger at Ashley says my two bets for flipping first was Paul, and then Cora second. I was on that same. I think you and I both were, Carrie, that Cora would be one to flip. And after some of the rhetoric I've gotten from some of the people that know her, I'm not so sure she's going to. From some of the personality traits I've heard in her behavior, I think it's more likely that Cora would flip. I don't think she will, after what I've heard.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Not after some of the things I've heard about her. I'm working to find a way to navigate those conversations without outing anybody or putting anybody in a strange place. But based on what I've heard, and up until a few weeks ago, we'd heard some decent, good things about Cora, and then something untangled all of that for me. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So she's less likely to turn on my, I honestly, I think it would not surprise me if Tad flipped on Tiffany, and this isn't the start of that. Like, he gets his own trial and he's like, look, that broad's crazy. If I can't be in the same courtroom with her,
right?
I can't manage myself. Because if he's if he's in one of those toxic relationships with Tiffany, and he's like, look, if I'm in the same room, I'll do what she wants. I don't know if that's the case, but I can see why he wouldn't want to be tried with her. I don't know.
Run for Justice says no one will flip until after preliminary hearings. They will wait to see what the state's case is against them. Yeah, I agree.
That's a very, very good point. That preliminary is going to be super important.
And Ashley said Cora could be in a worse spot due to her proximity to the informant. In my opinion, that's a good point, Ashley.
That really is a good one. Yeah, because how do you defend yourself against something like that? That's Run for Justice. I agree. Oh, I was just showing it too.
we're both doing it at the same time.
Hands up, you do it.
We agree, Run for Justice. We agree.
We're trying to agree. Clearly, Carrie and I think a lot alike because we're both going for the same comments at the same time. Yeah, I really do. Given someone, if I'm learning, and I think it sounds like his mother is still kind of trying to support him to one capacity or another through her own actions. So it would not surprise me if this is his first step in getting away from her and flipping against her as soon as the preliminary is through. That would not surprise me. Yep, she knows what we're doing. She can see our problems.
Normal. This is normal.
At least we work together at least.
Very well. Too well.
That's funny. Not too well. Let's don't.
So
No, we already
yeah.
agreed we're lifing it one way or another.
Oh
Oh,
gosh, yes. Run for
so.
justice. That was my first thought. I think Tara has said it too.
Hmm.
I bet
Yeah.
Tiffany is one hot woman. Uh,
So when do you
yeah.
think? So when one defendant, because most of these motions have been made for all the defendants, right? So when one defendant makes a motion without the others, when do the others find out? Like, when is Tiffany going to be pissed, or is she pissed now? Like, when is she going to get word that Tad has been like,
Mhm.
"See ya, I'm on my own," because she's not made the same motion. The other, we
Right.
haven't seen any motions for the others.
No,
So
and I
it's
will be looking, but yeah. Margaret said sharing a bed is one thing, but facing TP totally different. Yeah. I mean, it is.
That's talk about
So,
doing life together. Oh, taking it, yeah. Whoever takes the deal first gets the best desk. That's that's an interesting way of putting it. If I heard it put quite that way, but yeah, I
well,
agree, Ashley. I don't know. This is gonna be
see,
interesting.
I
As
I
long
had expected, sorry, Tara. I had
No, you're good.
expected Paul or Cora possibly to do this. So, when I saw that Tad had done it, I was really surprised. I really was. I figured he would hang in there with Tiffany till the end as much as possible.
I
So had
think
it come
so.
out, Cora had filed that, I would have been like, ah, that's, I'm not really surprised, but
I don't know. I think if they were, it depends on who was on board first and who stands. Like, if all of this activity, if the decisions and the actions that were carried out, if this was based on some strongly held values that they're not being talked out of, and Tab was finally
mhm,
like, oh, okay, so things are different now. I'm learning some new information I didn't know before, or I'm finally free. Whatever he's experiencing, um, he's the only one going for a separation. So I'm kind of curious, if, like I said, I was hopeful Cora would come around. But
yeah.
after the last few weeks of information, I'm like, there's no way she's going to flip. I could see Tad first, but
Mm-hmm. Kind of
I don't
disappointing.
know.
Cash, you're not ever gonna get timed out in this chat, but good try. Good luck.
What was that? What was that?
Cash Cash said, "Yep, you timed me out." No, no, no,
Not
no
hardly.
time.
Oh,
All
so
right.
I don't know.
I don't either.
It'd be
So, that's what
interesting.
we have with that. Sebastian Rogers.
Oh, this
So,
would
I
be.
don't know how many of you guys in the chat, well, I know a few of you follow, the Sebastian Rogers case. I followed it way too close probably for the last 6 months. The kinda cool thing about this is that Tara has not been, how we put it, as invested probably as maybe I
Yeah,
have been.
I haven't been
So
exposed to it for as long. I heard about it when he first went missing, but I hadn't gotten involved with all this stuff until the Kansas moms. So some of the stuff I'm catching up to. I've checked into a few things for Carrie, so I have some theory, but I'm anxious to see what she tells me today, and then I can disperse my analytics out there for the
yeah.
chat to debate with me.
So, people are very, very passionate about the Sebastian Rogers case. If any of you followed Summer Wells, who also is still missing after 3 years from Rogersville, Tennessee, that case people still are very passionate about, and they are extremely passionate, maybe even more so now, about Sebastian Rogers. And here's what I want to say first, all right? Those of you that have followed our channel, you probably already going to know this. But for those that haven't, I just want to make this very clear up front, kind of set the rules, set the boundaries. I'm not trying to be, dictator over here, but it is our channel. And, we just like to do things maybe a little differently. So with that said, we are not here to investigate Sebastian Rogers' case. We're just not. Um, we are not law enforcement. We are not private investigators or anything else for that matter. We are just two women with voices that we're passionate, about the missing. We're passionate about some of this other, like the Kansas women cases, things like that. Those really get our attention. Um, So we're just passionate, just like all of you are. The public may have about half of the information that law enforcement has, right? Yeah, no state, Ashley. She just
Hold
threw
on.
me off. Um,
Yeah.
so
It's not
yeah,
nice, but funny. It's,
the public, may have about a half of the amount of information that law enforcement does. And we can't possibly think that us here on YouTube can solve a missing persons case with only a portion of the facts surrounding it, right? I, w- I mean, that's how I feel about it anyway. We don't have the electronics, that information. We don't have the vehicle information. We don't have all of that. So how can we fully make a fully informed opinion or judgment on it, right?
yeah.
Of course, we always have our own opinions. We just, don't always share those publicly. That's not, I just don't think it's right. Um,
Well,
but
it
I,
doesn't, you share it
go
publicly,
ahead.
you don't encourage independent thought if you share it publicly. When you develop a platform, and you start sharing things that other people just buy it and go with it, versus we want that critical thinking, that open-minded thinkiness, versus like, oh, this is what we think and everybody just follows suit. We like hearing what everybody else thinks
Yes,
too, because it helps round out the thinking.
definitely. Um, Yeah, we don't wanna tell you what to think. We just wanna present you the facts and the information that surrounds it, and then you can make up your own opinions. Um, but I get the strange behaviors observed on both sides. I'm talking mom, stepdad, and father. I get it. I've watched every single interview with all of them. I have notebooks full of notes on every single interview. So I get it, okay? Um, but with that said, a case is solved on facts and evidence and not public opinion. So my opinion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Your opinion, Tara's opinion, it doesn't matter because we're not law enforcement. We are not solving this. We are not the attorneys that are going to bring it to justice. We're not doing any of that. Um, we simply just want to go back to the beginning and present the facts. And hopefully, in doing that, we can clear up the astronomical amount of rumors and theories that surround Sebastian Rogers' case and truly just spread awareness for him. Um, get the facts out, get the information. You know, Something that upsets me is when we start writing these missing children off. Um, People will stop looking for that missing child. And I don't think that we should ever write any missing child off until law enforcement says, hey, this is what happened. So I would like to, have that hope and that, that he is still out there. And Cash, you're so right. As humans, we do speculate, and it's where and how we do that. So of
Yeah.
course I speculate. Of course I've told Tara kind of my thoughts on it. But I've also tried really hard to not allow myself to form a complete I'm this or that. I just won't do that. So with that said, I want to go back to the original information, which was the original TBI pressers, the original actual legit searchers that were there. And I wanted you guys to hear what they have to say. So, whether you're brand new to this case or you've been following it just like I have for 6 months, 24/7, I hope you can walk away from this live with some clarity and some questions answered. Um, do you have
Agreed.
anything to add to that, Tara?
In terms of the speculation, what I would say is, Cash, I agree with you. Speculation is a pretty normal practice for anybody. That's part of the human nature. It's part of the human curiosity. It's how and when you do it. It's also maintaining an open mind, because information is only available when it's available. And so as more becomes available, it's being open to interpreting, not selective interpretation. So it's you don't want to get bogged down in one theory and then look at all the evidence and only interpreting that evidence so it feeds your theory, feeds your narrative. Let the evidence steer you into the picture, not in the reverse. That's the one thing that, throughout Libby's case and the Kansas mom's case and a couple of the other ones that we've looked into, if you let the evidence talk to you and paint the picture for you, you learn a lot more from it. You don't learn anything from being judgmental. Judging doesn't leave any room for learning. And so that's, as long as we can speculate, but as long as we do it with an open mind.
Mm-hmm. And I, like, in the cases of missing kids, I always try to put myself in that position. What if? And it would be absolutely horrific. Say one of my grandchildren went missing. We all have, like, past. We all have it. And if people want to dig big enough, bad enough, they're going to find something, right? So
Yep.
we just try to steer clear of that. I don't think that's our job, quote unquote, if
Right.
that. So with that said, I want to start back to, I believe this was the very first press conference that Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did on the Sebastian Rogers case. So let me get that started. And I have quite a few
We want
videos
to get to
here.
this breaking news right now. I'm Mark
Cash, you
Kelly
have
from
me
the
laughing because over here in
WKRN.com
the
alert
side
desk.
view,
We're
it's been a
expecting
hard day for
any
me, so I'm
moment right
having my
now
nightly
an
glass of wine
update
while
on the
we are
search for that
recording, but
missing
I'm trying
teenager,
not to show it
Sebastian
on
Rogers. Let's
camera. And
listen
there you are
live.
talking about,
In a few moments, I'll go through some
say
slides and
wild
show you
theories
what
for
we
friends over a drink. I'm over here like, well, there's my drink, and I guess this is wild theory.
Can you hear the video, Tara?
No, I'll jump back in. Give me a moment. Go ahead. I'll jump back in.
Get your butt out of here. Okay. Ebenezer, you're so welcome. It wasn't much of an update, but I was kind of surprised. So, all right, we kicked Tara out of here. Now we can have fun. So, like I said, this was the very first press conference on Sebastian Rogers. This was on February 29th, 2024. Oh, now she wants me to add her back. Should we or no?
Stop it. I can hear you back
Oh.
there. I can hear you. Should we add her back? I'm going to leave. I'm going to go home and cry myself to sleep.
All right. So let's go here.
done over the past 4 days of searching. Really wanted to come to the community and ask for your help. We need you to search your properties every day, morning and night. If there's a shed or a crawl space or up under your mobile home or a tarp that's in your yard, check it every morning and check it every night. Look for any details that something has been disturbed. If there's a shirt that was there today that wasn't there yesterday, notify us. You can really help us by searching your own property twice a day. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off, and we really need your help to ensure that he is brought home safely.
Okay, and when Chief talks about searching your homes, if you've got a farm, we're well aware that the tendency to follow creeks is great, and we've actually done some case studies, some history on calls and searches in the past where young men or young women have traveled to creeks. So we want you to look at creeks. We want you to look at ponds. And if you look at a pond, look for foot tracks around the pond. And then we'll go into, when Chief's ready, we're going to go into pictures and we'll show you our operational periods and the maps that we use to track our searchers. Okay, so this is day one, and all of the rings you see are a fixed wing aircraft, TBI's fixed winged aircraft, and they use a FLIR, and they do a continual circle on a 2-mile ring. And the video quality and the pictures that they produce are amazing. And the lines that you see that are going all over the place, the green and the purple and the blues, those are helicopters, THP Metro. And then all of the lines in the middle, when you draw that in, those are our foot searchers. So in the first 2 days, we logged over 2,000 miles of personnel on foot doing searches in those search areas. If you want to go to the next page. So that's day two. And you can see we're continuing to expand those search areas, and you'll see clues, you'll see markers If a searcher finds something, they mark it. We send a detective or detectives to that scene or to that area. And if they find evidence, we haven't found any evidence. And but if they find something that they think is substantial, CID investigates it. Going to the next day. That's the next day TBI was back. That second day we had really bad weather with rain. And so these are the rings from TBI again. And they did some almost tri-oval type figures when we were looking at particular areas, and they were looking at streams at that time, and a lot of helicopter, and then more ground troops. And then we got one more day. And then today we're expanding west, and you can see those areas that personnel are searching. And so what we do is we get them in, and we've got an app that they utilize, and they create tracks, and you can see the tracks in those sections as they do the search. And we've got several other things going on. We're utilizing drones, K9, and UTVs, ATVs, horses, aircraft, and anything at our disposal to get Sebastian located.
Like Director Widener said, what you didn't see on there was any drone track. The drones aren't tracked on Sartopo. What you didn't see on there were several assets that didn't have the app that day. So what you're seeing is what we know we have tracked. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off. We have no evidence to disprove that. The family's been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement in our investigation. We are truly operating under the assumption that there's a child missing that needs our help. So if the public is out there and you have a house close by or not close by, right? Check your property twice a day. If you find something, call us. If you have trail cams out on properties that you hunt, check them. If there's an image that you think could be Sebastian, call us. Anything, any tip that you have, call us. We want to bring Sebastian home.
And when the chief says, even if it's not right here. So I actually spoke to the incident commander of a search operation that happened west of here, and a 14-year-old went missing, was found 9 days later, 6.2 miles from home. So we're looking at, we don't want to go out too far, too fast, but even if you live in Davidson County, if you live in Robertson County, if you live anywhere in Sumner County and adjoining counties that you think he could have made it to your property, search those creek streams, tributaries, ponds, barns, outbuildings, vacant homes, any place that you think he could be.
One tip, if you're searching your property, is to search it in pairs. If we have aerial assets up and they see someone walking alone through a field, we're going to deploy resources to make sure that is not Sebastian. Secondly, if you're out searching your field and something happens to you, someone needs to be able to call for help and tend to you while we're on the way to help you. So if you're searching, please search in pairs and be safe.
What's the weather been like to possibly affect the search?
Real quick, because I'm not sure, I do know a few of you that follow this only because I'm in those chats with you guys. But if you do follow this, will you put a 1 in the chat? We'll kind of know where we're at.
Weather, our primary concern with weather is for Sebastian. So the rain that we got and the cold temperatures yesterday and into last night gave us concern for hypothermia. But for rescuers, we put rain gear on and we go. Our mounted people, we're using a lot of tactical officers at night with FLIR or with night vision. And so our search personnel, the weather does not bother them. They go and they're going to perform the search. We're looking at rain tomorrow. The temperature is going to stabilize a little bit. 245 and 17 are feeding us weather on request, and National Weather Service is working with us every day, sending us information if anything changes. So.
Chief, I know you guys had asked for doorbell cam and surveillance camera. Have you guys been able, since Sunday night, Monday morning, been able to actually put eyes on Sebastian? Has any video actually shown him walking?
We have had several clips that have come in. Several of them we've been able to dispel that's not Sebastian on that clip. We are still working every lead that comes in. So as the video comes in, our detectives, we're working really well alongside the TBI and all of our other law enforcement partners in the region to make sure that we're getting on them just as quickly as possible.
But there hasn't been one video that you guys had that you said that's...
There's not a confirmed sighting of Sebastian on camera.
Gotcha.
Was any of the canines able to pick up on a scent or something that can lead you to maybe a direction where he might have been?
We've done that. We've actually cast the dogs at intersections to see if they take us. And our dogs are scent specific, and we have scent articles from the home, and they have not. We have gotten some tracks away from the home, and we haven't had anything that leads us to Sebastian, obviously.
You mentioned that you've covered about 2,000 miles, correct? What's the word on the amount of volunteers and people helping?
We'll address that later. We still got plenty of, and what you got to understand is span of control and manageability. And I know there's a lot of talk out there. You need to get more people out there, but we've got to do it coordinated, and we've got to be able to monitor and ensure the safety of our searchers. So right now we've got so many public safety assets that we can track and we can communicate with that we are in good shape right now. and we are discussing the possibility of going into volunteers.
We have begun the conversation of coordinating with local volunteer groups. Should we need them, there's a plan in place. What I don't want is to have 1,000 people out in the woods, someone get injured, and now we have to deploy resources to them that should be deployed to get Sebastian home safely. As of right now, I've talked to the FBI, I've talked to world-renowned detectives from the Middle Tennessee area, and every one of them has said we're doing everything that we should be doing. We're doing everything that we can. I'm open to ideas. If someone's got an idea that we're not applying yet, let me know. I'll apply it.
Do you know how many hours, how many miles you guys have clocked in and searched so far?
2,000 by foot the first 2 days. We're not tracking hours now. We'll put all that together. We'll do an after action report, but now we're going through the day, preparing this afternoon for tomorrow. We've got a team that's doing that. We've even got the tax assessor's office working with us on additional mapping for streams and creeks that we want to make sure we're covering. And I'll tell y'all, we're hitting streams and creeks heavy. So that's something we need done is creeks, streams, tributaries checked, because the watershed from the Tyree Springs area coming down in here. One thing I've learned about autism is the stamina, the pain threshold, the drive in these men and women, young boys and young girls is greater than ours. Okay. So the particular case in northern Mississippi and West Tennessee, this young man walked until he passed out. And when they got to him, he was laying face down and they were like, oh my, but he was unconscious, and they've done stories on him. And so that's something we're looking at, and we urge people to get out and check those locations. A lot of farms in Sumner County, a lot of creeks in Sumner County, check them.
I hate to cut you guys off, but I'm really focused on getting Sebastian home, and we need to get back out and make sure we're doing everything we can. I really appreciate you guys being here covering the story, and as soon as there's an update, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back here at the WKRN.com.
All right. So that was the very first press conference. And I do have Texas EquiSearch was there twice. And so I do have clips later on tonight. I just wanted to show you guys, if you're not, whether you understand and have followed the case or not, I think it's just good to go back and listen to some of these TBI press conferences, especially considering all of the noise that's out there surrounding the case right now. So I think it's just really important. So the next one was the press conference on April 2nd. And let's do that
Susan
one.
Island, SUSAN-NILAND, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. She's the PI. I also have with me Sumner County Emergency Management Director Ken Wider, KENWEID.
Now, real quick, Sebastian went missing on February 26th from Tennessee, Sumner County, and I will show his flyers.
Yeah, you guys ready? All right. Morning. I'm Eric Craddock with Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and we're going to come to you today with an update on the Sebastian Rogers case. Sebastian has been missing since late February. The investigation remains ongoing with steadfast support from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and many other local and federal resources. We are exploring every lead that comes in and every tip that comes in. As I said before, the investigation remains ongoing. The entire community is deeply saddened by what has occurred. We're all extremely concerned for Sebastian's welfare. I want to encourage the community to stay vigilant, to report anything that they think may be of some significance to the investigation, no matter how minute it may appear to be to you. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND with any tips, or the Sumner County Emergency Communications Center at 615-451-3838. We understand the anxiety and the concern that this case has caused in the community. We too share the anxiety and concern for Sebastian. I want to reiterate that we are doing everything we can to find Sebastian and bring him home. Despite the passage of time, the commitment to finding Sebastian remains unwavering. I said this when we scaled the search back. Our commitment to finding Sebastian remains. We will continue to investigate every possible lead that comes in. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office wants to express our gratitude to the community and the many individuals who have helped in the search, the many individuals who have called in tips, the many individuals who have printed flyers and kept Sebastian's face in the news. Nothing would make me happier than to wake up tomorrow morning with a tip that cracks this case wide open and we find Sebastian and bring him home. At this time, I'll turn it over to Susan Island from the TBI.
Thank you, WG. Hi, good morning. Thanks for being here. we know how invested everybody is in the search for Sebastian, in finding out what happened to him and bringing him home. And we want to let everybody know he has not been forgotten. Nobody's forgotten about him. Nobody has given up looking for him. At the beginning of this investigation, there was a large land search for him. It was very visible. There were also waterways, lakes, ponds that were searched. There were aerial searches with helicopters and drones and fixed wing planes. They were done at night. They were done on weekends. They were done during the day. That was very visible, and it was something everybody was able to see. But we want to let you know that even though there is not that high visibility in investigating this case, that we are not done. It's gone back to what could be considered good old-fashioned police work. Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals, checking out leads, rechecking leads. We have been working with other law enforcement agencies who have had, in other jurisdictions, who have perhaps had some complex cases of their own that they've worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance cameras. That, as you can imagine, has been a bit of a chore to be able to collect all those and then review them. It's important so we know what's out there. We have been reviewing that, reviewing it again. We have had other agencies involved. The FBI has been helpful in that. Secret Service has also been helpful in that. So we are just trying to do whatever we can to advance the investigation. It has not gone to a place where anybody has forgotten about him or is not pursuing this. The parents have been cooperative throughout. At the beginning of the investigation, they have pretty much done whatever law enforcement has asked of them. At this point, we don't have any evidence. There is not any kind of an indication that there is a criminal element involved. But we are keeping options open. We don't know what has happened. We don't know where Sebastian is right now. So we are pursuing any and all avenues. We do want to caution there are some social media elements out there who purport to have information that is direct from the investigation. I just want to reiterate that is not the case. Some of the information that is being provided on some of the social media channels is inaccurate.
Oh, so you don't say. Some of the information being reported on social media channels is not accurate. Sorry, I got a giggle out of that. What did I do there? Okay.
It's going to be like, really?
We don't want this to damage the investigation. So we would just caution anyone who is following the case to just use some caution as to what you see and what you believe. It's caused a bit of a distraction because a lot of what has been out there in some of the social media channels has been rumors and speculations and theories, and some of that has been advanced and people have caught a hold of it as if it's what's really happening. That has resulted in us getting information that is either, like I said, distracting. It's taking away time and effort from what the agencies need to be doing as far as looking for Sebastian. We have had.
Tara, what are your thoughts on that? I have strong opinions. I hate that they even have to say things like that. We are grown people. We're adults. I hate that they have to come out and do that. And they didn't just do it once. They've had to do it multiple times. But what are your thoughts?
My first immediate thought is a line doesn't have to announce itself, right? So if you have to say you're an adult, you have to say you're something specific. It's not easily seen, then there's something wrong. That you shouldn't have to announce yourself if it's easy to see. In this particular case, saying that we're grown adults, you shouldn't have to say it. We can clearly see that on the screen. It's concerning to me. Mm-hmm. It's almost an insecurity being voiced out there, but kind of like saying I'm insecure without saying I'm insecure. We're in over our heads, but we're not in over our heads type of thing. So, and it doesn't, if it was my child, despite the capabilities, the disabilities, the autism, the non-autism, whatever, despite the child's diagnoses, if I was that parent, that would take a lot of faith out of me right there. If you have to go out there in the public view and announce that versus just saying, we have looked this area, we have looked that area. If you're in that area, please go double check. Things change every day, So it doesn't give me warm fuzzies.
What do you think about the social media aspect with them having to come out and say what she had to say? Like, this is causing problems, basically, is what she's saying.
Well, to me, it's like, how is it causing problems? Don't just say it's causing problems. Say, because of some of this stuff, there's directions being pointed out that we don't think apply, or there's people are being convinced of things that we've not been able to investigate properly, or we people won't talk to us because social media has said we're, things like that. That concerns me. It kind of feeds into the whole we're a struggling organization and you're not making it any easier for us. It's hard to find an individual of any capacity. And, I do a lot of coaching on the side. I have 2 individuals that are diagnosed as being on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum. And one of them loves to go hiking, loves the trails, the woods, loves being outdoors. And so, trying to stick to the facts that them. Stop blaming the public for things that you can't get done. Just stick to the damn case. But I'm still new to it. Keep in mind, I'm still.
Yeah, I was going to remind everybody. So Tara's very new to this. So that's just like kind of first law.
I'm not impressed though.
All right. That's what Tara's thoughts are. See, you should have named that channel Tara's Thoughts.
It started off as the Tara Talks and it's moved over to Shenanigans, which is probably way more appropriate for what I'm going to do over there.
Probably so.
You're probably right. Is Tara the nice one? That really
that's funny, Cash. No, I am.
Carrie's far nicer. I just say it in a way like I'll put it to you like this, Cash. I like to tell people to go take a long walk off of a short cliff, but I do it in such a eloquent manner that they're like, oh, great. Where do I go to do that exactly? That's how I like to operate. But I'm careful. I can be shady, but I'm honest. I'm openly honest. And Carrie's like, you're not going to say that on our live, are you? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to say it. She's like, but you're going to be nice, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, not Tara nice, like Carrie nice. I'm like, ah, damn it. Never mind.
And Micah said, honestly, I hope that this does not turn out to be another Summer World case. I 100% agree. Those in the chat don't know, but I did live in the area about 20 minutes from where Summer went missing. So I obviously followed that case from day one as well. And that's actually what brought me to YouTube. So, gosh, I hope not. All right. I'm going to mute myself again.
Here we go.
Oops, muted too soon. And we'll continue this.
So far, as of this morning, 314 tips that have come in through the tip line. It's been mentioned, but I'll say it again. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. We are also taking tips through email, which is tips to TBI, TBI, at tbi.tn.gov. What's next? We want people, as Chief Deputy said, to continue to remain vigilant, get Sebastian's picture out there, continue to share his picture, his information. Now that it's getting to be nicer, well, not today with the weather, but now that the weather has turned warmer, people may be more inclined to be in their yards. If you go out and see anything that looks different, let us know. Something where perhaps a teenager could have hidden. If you have a large amount of property in the area or something that has any kind of holes or unstable footing or ledges where a teen could have gone to hide or to play, and you don't feel comfortable checking it out, let us know. We'll get somebody from law enforcement to go out there with you or to check it out themselves. We just want to make sure that every stone is unturned, that there's no stone left unturned, that we want people to make sure that we are looking everywhere we can. We do want to continue to get the tips, but please don't provide information that you might have seen through social media channels. If you have information about Sebastian, about conversations you might have had with him, things he likes to do, places he likes to go, any people he may have mentioned that are in his life, that could be helpful in finding out maybe what he was interested in. Finally, we want to thank the community. We want to thank the media. You guys have been really good about keeping his name.
Ashley, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate that. We really do. And I hope you'll join us for the next one.
In the public's eye. That's really important. And thank you for your diligence in providing that information out there. And as Chief Deputy said, we also want to thank the community. From the very first day, everybody has really been all in as far as whatever they can do to help in the search, to help pass information on. providing water for the teams that were out conducting the ground searches. So thank you again to everybody. I'm going to pass it back to Eric Credit.
The weather is rolling in. We've got time for some questions. So, yes, ma'am.
I was doing it behind, so sorry if I missed it, but has there been any indication at this point of foul play or anything of that nature?
There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out.
We're not ruling anything out.
So 5 weeks, and you guys covered so much ground. Searching, going back, researching, checked out every case of a possible sighting, nothing confirmed. Not a trace of Sebastian anywhere, nothing found. No footprints, no video, nothing.
Nothing that is taking us to locate Sebastian.
And are there any working theories?
We come up with theories almost daily and try and investigate and make sure that we're doing everything we can to find Sebastian.
Share any of those?
No, sir.
2 questions, if I may. Have you ruled out Sebastian's mom and stepdad's involvement in this case? And as a follow-up, have you cleared their alibi?
I think the TBI said it best. They've been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement since day one of this investigation. There is no evidence to support foul play on the part of Sebastian's parents.
They still say that to this day. To this day, they still say that.
Is that moving Memphis interfering at all with your investigation? Is it changing possibly the avenues of communication?
No, sir.
You mentioned when you were asked about recent evidence, we heard some rumors that WC has some validity, that there were glasses found within the past few days. Can you confirm that?
There were some glasses found in the past few days.
Or have you been able to identify that they were Sebastian's?
We are still investigating.
So real quick, because I'm not sure if it's in another video, but those glasses turned out to not be Sebastian Rogers.
And on the Cajun Navy, have you found how was that coordination happening? Have you found their work helpful? Are you guys working in unison or a separate team?
The Cajun Navy is operating independently. They have not reached out to us.
Have you found their investigation?
I think that little tidbit's important because there was so much controversy that surrounded the Cajun Navy being there. And that's going to come into play later on during this live when we go over EquiSearch, who are true professionals. And they do kind of discuss that just a little bit.
Was their work helpful, or has it been one of the distractions that have been mentioned?
One of the things that I really appreciate they've done is print flyers and keep Sebastian's face out there. It's my hope that one day somebody sees something and calls in and this case breaks wide open and we find Sebastian.
They claim they received threats. To your knowledge, have they filed any police reports or reports to the Sheriff's Department documenting any of these alleged threats?
No, sir.
Are we able to learn anything about what those threats are?
They would have to call the police and report them.
Where's the search go from here? It's been 5 weeks, there's been no signs. Do you believe he's still alive? And what are you guys going to continue working on?
My hope and prayer is that Sebastian is still alive. Yes. We're going to continue to work on this investigation, follow up every tip and lead that comes. Some of this may revert back to us going over some things that we've already done for the 6th, 7th, or 8th time. A fresh set of eyes never heard anything. We're going to continue to work to find Sebastian.
Have the stories been changing at all? Have you been talking with people, interviewing them for a second time possibly?
There is no evidence to support foul play.
Are there any active current leads that you guys are pursuing?
We have tips called in daily.
Any of those tips seem legitimate enough to expand law enforcement resources?
Regardless of their legitimacy, we're going to follow up on them.
Will there be any other agencies pulled in to help in the search efforts for this case?
I'm certain there will be.
You met with the biological father and mother this past week. Is that at their request, your request? Is that just re-interviewing them again?
That was at the request of law enforcement. It's not uncommon to talk to the family in investigations like this. I've got time for one more question.
Just overall, how has this investigation impacted the morale at your department, especially with all the scrutiny coming online?
Let me put it to you like this. If my kid was missing, this is the team I'd want on it. The men and women in the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the FBI partners, the other local agencies, the Secret Service, everyone who's had a hand in this case is doing everything they can to find Sebastian. Morale's high.
So remember, this was on April 2nd. FBI was involved. Secret Service was involved. Everybody was involved from the get-go.
We are here and we are dedicated. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for keeping Sebastian in the public. Please continue to publicize this photo.
Interesting.
Oh.
What did you do?
All right. I tried to exit out of it and it played again. So What do you think? And Micah, yeah, the light video. So I have my own thoughts on that. I don't know if I should get ahead of myself or not. Um, First of all, the year's wrong, the date's wrong, and the time's wrong. So, with that said, it's very hard for me to buy into that video and top that off with law enforcement saying it's of no evidentiary value. So, that's my thoughts on it. I could be wrong, but those are my thoughts. But that is probably getting ahead of myself here. What do you think of that? Or do you have anything you want to add to that press conference, Tara?
Oh, I always have something to add. It's
Of
just
course.
a matter of how should I add it. So the fresh set of eyes, I'm curious to know, and I don't think anybody in the media would think to ask, have they talked to somebody who's on the spectrum, who's been diagnosed as being on the spectrum, that is attracted to being outdoors, that can help them kind of get into Sebastian's mind? I guess before I should have said that, I should have asked, are there still active searches out there? It's been since February, right? So this is the 9th month. So we're what, 7 months into
Just
this?
past 6 months.
This past 6 months. Are there still active searches out there? Does anybody know?
No, not really.
Okay. So, and I don't know, he went missing from his mother's residence in Hendersonville, Tennessee, correct?
Yeah, his mom and stepdad.
And she lives in a there's a lot of wooded area right there. I've checked the area, and if I remember correctly, my maps aren't pulling up to give me an idea again, but I remember most of it's private property, which limits where law enforcement can and can't go ultimately. So the searches are technological now. What do you mean like drones, Cash? Is that what you're talking about there? They're using drones? Maybe with
I think one of the next videos kind of addresses that, but they stopped all searches and kind of moved over to the digital back end kind of the investigation. Yeah.
So what I've found is it's cool to be an expert, right? You've read the books, you've taken the test, and you can regurgitate what you've read, but firsthand experience outranks anything that a book offers, in my opinion. So talk to somebody who's in a similar capacity to Sebastian. Where would he go? What would he do? Why would he be out there? Because if I understand correctly, he left with a flashlight, without his shoes, with his flashlight, in the dark hours. Is that right?
That's right. So the flashlight is not a typical flashlight. It's one of those little keychain ones. So it doesn't put out much at all. You know what I mean?
It's more like a signaler. It's not designed to search. It's designed to be seen. And Cash says, I think groomed or Shannon Matthews. Now, who's Shannon Matthews? Is that a key player in all of this? Is that a family member, Cash?
I'm not sure. That might be another case. But I am kind of with Cash on that.
So the Cash says, I don't think ran away to nothing. It's not ran away to nothing. And it's probably not even ran away. There is, I think, Sebastian is how old? He's a teenager, correct?
He's 15.
He's 15. Shannon Matthews, a UK case. Gotcha. I'll go look at that one, Cash. Thank you. So if we're going to lean into somebody, I think I'd seen a chat, or I saw something said somewhere, and maybe it was on the very preliminary search that I did. There's some correlation to those who are diagnosed as being on the spectrum are attracted to water type areas, which you do hear that a lot in the news, right? You hear about a child who walked off, went missing, and was found, unfortunately, in a body of water, having passed. And again, the individual that I work with on soft skills loves to hike, loves to be outside, loves to see what nature has to offer. Nothing about really being attracted to anything specific. They just feel calmer outside. Both the individuals that I coach prefer being outside, despite the fact too much stimulation can bother them. The outside stimulation seems to be soothing. And so I'm not saying if he did take off of his own volition, that's not to say he was running away. has anybody asked any of his parents, step or biological, does he try to go out for walks by himself? Does he try to go hiking a lot? Is he told no often? Did he get a little bit of a rebellious streak and decide, I'm going for a walk, I really don't care? You know what? I need more information about Sebastian's behavior and his thought process, is to really understand, what happened that night that he disappeared.
Right.
That's
and I want to add too, Tara and I covered a case out of Oklahoma City briefly, Estefani Rodriguez, and she too went missing in the middle of the night. No shoes, no money, no nothing. And I'll tell you, social media was very quick to blame those parents. Very quick.
Yeah.
It turns out that she did truly run away. She went to her boyfriend's. Tara and I were actually going to go to Oklahoma City and search with the family. And there came a point in that time that she was gone that I told Tara, I think she ran away in the middle of the night to a boyfriend's house. Sure enough, she did. But I'm telling you, she left with no shoes, no cell phone, no money, nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But they found her at the boyfriend's house. So I don't know enough about this case. But based on what I know with my experience with individuals when they're diagnosed as being on the spectrum, they can be rebellious. Just, I don't know if he was nonverbal. I don't know what his thought processes
He
were.
was not nonverbal at all.
He was
highly
verbal?
intelligent. Oh yes,
Okay.
highly intelligent. He was just diagnosed with autism, and I think that's important. He was just diagnosed, I believe, as last October. So right about that time.
With a lot, and I don't know how many individuals in the chat have a family member, specifically a child, that has been diagnosed as being on the spectrum. If they're diagnosed early, there's two paths that parents will typically take. They'll take the boxed in path. The doctor tells them what that child can and can't do. That's how the parents treat the child. That's one of the people that I work with. The other path is, I don't have time to treat this child differently. I've got siblings that this kid needs to be functioning with. We're going to treat this child as he can function within his bounds. He'll tell us how to manage, how to parent, how to work with, how to communicate. So they're very, very different individuals. They're both males. But if one of them went missing, I would know where he went because I know how he thinks. I know what he does. And he would just end up getting lost out in the woods because he took a wrong turn. So I would love to sit down with Katie, and I don't know what Dad's name is. I want to say Chris, but I don't think that's correct.
Chris is the stepdad and Seth is the bio father. Yeah. And like Yep said, Sebastian, he is very high functioning. So
so he can manipulate and navigate, and he can work within his environment. He can rationalize. He can do math like so many people that can live out there. And so I would like to sit down with the parents and ask those kind of questions about, what does he try to do on his own that you guys don't think is okay for him? Because if he can function and he can think for himself to a certain degree, because he's highly intelligent, he may have thought, one of these days I'm going out for a walk, or maybe he got told something, decided he just left. I don't know. There's a lot of information. I would love to, I don't know about a sit down with Seth, but if you're looking, I guess we'll be emailing her shortly. There's just a lot of information about the behavioral aspects of Sebastian. I would love to know, to be able to.
And and he is high functioning. He's 15 years old. Let me tell you, I too, quote unquote, ran away from home at right about that age. And it wasn't because I was being abused or anything. It was because, listen, I wanted to go have fun with my friends. It was that simple. I mean, I did. But we didn't have like the internet and all those other things at that time, I graduated in 1991. So we didn't have all that. And, gosh, oh my God, I think back and think, oh my, that would be so scary these days, and I took off and went 3 hours away from home.
So, further than I did. I went 10 minutes and they thinking I was going to get away scot clean. That was
So
smart of
me
you.
and my friend, we went to my boyfriend's 3 hours away, and then we went to the mall and we got our makeup done in the makeup store and, you know, things like that. Now, it did not turn out to be a very good experience, but it was no fault of my parents, I think is the point I'm trying to get across. Teenagers do, they rebel and just, you know, people try to, I think a lot of times when we talk about Sebastian, we try to, not we, but when people talk about Sebastian, they try to make him like he's this little baby, this little child, and he's not. He's a 15-year-old boy with, you know, he's behind, you know, socially, you know, with him being on the spectrum. There are some issues as far as, you know, space, personal space, boundaries.
Accurate. Yeah.
Those are an issue, but otherwise, he's a 15-year-old
Well,
boy.
you make a really great point about while he may be behind socially, when it comes to like nature, that could be a safe space for him. So again, without having enough information, and I may ask the individual that I coach with that loves being outside, that's on the spectrum, who's also high functioning, lives on his own, has a full-time job, has earned a degree, creating a career for himself, but still socially awkward, socially behind where he wants to be. I may have him kind of take a look at it and say, you know, give me what would you do? You're 15, and it'll be different because the individual that I work with, he was diagnosed at 13, so kind of close to Sebastian's age. The other one was diagnosed at 2, but there's a big difference. Once the diagnosis kicked in, he got treated differently, so he was definitely kind of caged in, and he's kind of getting his wings. But I don't know. I'd like to know what the parents have been asked, if they've been asked not the right questions, because the police have asked the right questions per their investigation, but the interesting questions that people don't think to ask when it comes to these things.
So another thing real quick, and I'll continue with that video that, Terry, you should know, he also does have a chromosome deletion disorder.
Oh.
So I can't remember exactly what that is. Yep, or Cash, somebody in the chat is going to know exactly what it is. If you could put that in the chat for me, I really appreciate it. But I do think that that is an important part to this.
I'm looking it up.
And
right
that came way before the autism, way before that. All right. So this next one is only 1 minute and 45 seconds long.
Mhm.
And this was on, let's see where it was. April 2nd of 2024. So just a little bit over a month after he went missing.
In an exhaustive search for Sebastian Rogers, but with few updates from authorities in recent weeks, some have wondered, is enough being done?
We're doing everything we can do. Every time a tip comes in, we follow up on it.
Eric Craddock is chief deputy with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and heads up the investigation. He sat down for an exclusive one-on-one to talk about what they do when there are few new leads.
I think in the absence of information, what we'll continue to do is go back over everything we've already done once, put a fresh set of eyes on it.
To that end, Craddock says searchers recently found a pair of glasses, which they are checking to see if they belong to Sebastian. He says the parents continue to fully cooperate.
Any evidence of foul play?
We have not cleared anyone, but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
I asked about exclusive home security video obtained from the neighborhood the night Sebastian disappeared. You can see 2 suspicious light sources, which we've circled here in an area behind the teen's home.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to explain to Tara that this video that you're about to see has been the height of speculation for, I don't know, it seems like forever, a good, 3 months now. Creators, social media have really ran with this. And that's what, I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was in the chat that was talking about it earlier. And that's when I said, I really don't buy this because, like I said, the year is wrong. First of all, the time is wrong. Supposedly is the time that the trash trucks were driving by, yet people don't have their trash at the curb. Nothing about that video made any sense to me. I could be completely wrong. Those are just my own thoughts and opinions on it. But I did want Tara to know that part.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play a role.
So many are, of course, closely following this case. How difficult has it been, all the noise on social media?
Oh, the rumor mill on social media has done nothing to advance this case.
Craddock says investigators continue to work the case daily and deal not with feelings, but facts and evidence.
There's no stone left unturned.
Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
So, Tara, that neighborhood is the neighborhood that Sebastian lives in. $500,000, $750,000 homes. What do you think about Craddock saying, you know, it has no evidentiary value, but he wouldn't really say what it was either? Any thoughts on that or no?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of transparency. And it's one thing to say it's ongoing investigation. That's code for we don't know, we're looking at, just flipping say that. To say there's no bearing, it doesn't apply. How do you know? Well, we're still investigating that. I'm not getting warm fuzzies off the sheriff at all. I understand the social media presence. I've seen enough of the social media ready to understand it's kind of a pointing of fingers, right? It seems like either people are team mom or team dad. And I've seen some of the reasons why. So I'm not saying those can't be backed, but I think when you're perplexed and you don't want to tell the world that you're confused or you don't get it, you'll come up with another way to put it out there. And saying, investigation's ongoing. I'd rather him say this is a learning curve for us. We've not had to investigate something like this. A child a 15-year-old with hydrocephalus and being diagnosed on the autism spectrum. This is a whole new realm of methodical thinking that we're not aware of. And so we are learning from experts on how to take the next steps. That would have been more respectful and respectable, in my opinion. But I can be a real brat when it comes to critical thinking.
Right. And I do think that transparency would help. Well, I think it's a double-edged sword. So anytime law enforcement seems to come out with anything, things get twisted. They get, lives after lives for hours on end, going through every tiny detail. And I think that it has become more frustrating for law enforcement to share anything at all, because when they do, it tends to muddy the waters. And that's what happened in Summer Wells' case as well. And then TBI shut down. They stopped talking. So that's the other end of how Tara feels about it. I feel almost the opposite, like, hey, if you guys are going to not just take the information we're giving you without thinking you need to know every single detail of this case, because obviously there's things we don't want to share with the public, then we're just not going to share anything with you at all. There's that. All right. This next one is when they scaled back the search. And this is what we were talking about earlier, Tara. This was on March 4th. So again, he went missing on February 26th. This is on March 4th. And they are going to announce that they are scaling back the search efforts.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Eric Craddock from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I'm the chief deputy here, joined by Ken Weiner, the director of Sumner County EMA. Wanted to come to the public and give you guys an update on the search for Sebastian Rogers. Last Monday morning at about 6:30, Sebastian was reported missing from his home. Since then, we've conducted an extensive and exhaustive search around the home, looking for any evidence, any trace of Sebastian. At this time, the decision has been made to scale back on the ground search operations. Let me be clear that this does not diminish our commitment to finding Sebastian. This is simply us transitioning from the ground search to the investigative side. We are still committed to finding Sebastian and bringing him home safe. We have no leads, no details to indicate that Sebastian is not alive. We are going to follow up on every lead. We have a planned response if anyone has a sighting of Sebastian. Our patrol deputies will be out. Our investigators will be out. We are still coordinating with law enforcement across the state. We are still consulting with experts.
This decision does not come lightly. We have consulted with, and I've deferred to the experts in search and rescue. Every time we've asked, they've said you've done everything you can do. At this time, Director Water.
Yeah. So we'll continue to have a command post at the fire station there. We won't man it 24/7, but we will have K9 units in the area. We'll have teams ready to go. The sheriff's office will have deputies on patrol. If we get any report, we'll respond to that location. We'll send K9 to that location and search teams should we get any information. So we will continue. And any tips we get, we will reactivate to the level we need to respond with.
I'd like to take a moment and thank all the first responders from across the state of Tennessee that have come out and help us in the search for Sebastian. They've come from as far as Knox County. We've called in the State National Guard to help. The Army National Guard was here to help. If there was a resource we thought we could utilize to help locate Sebastian, we've used it. And we will continue to do so based on.
So I just want to pause it real quick. So he just said State National Guard, Army National Guard, Secret Service has been there, FBI is involved, TBI is involved, and the local Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Those are the resources, and we'll hear more about that when we listen to EquiSearch. And I combined both. There was 2 interviews that were done with them. I combined them both and kind of clipped them down for us. But I think what they had to say is probably the most important, truly. And I don't think enough people have paid attention to what they did say.
On the leads that come in. The Sheriff's Office continues to urge families to check your properties, to check your cameras. No detail is too small. If you have a detail that you think is important, please call 615-451-3838. Thank you.
All right, Tara, chat, because I need to figure out which was the next one I was going to chat.
Tara chat. I'm gonna have to go back and take a closer look at this case. I'm not a fan of what law enforcement is saying. I don't like how they're presenting. I don't like how they're communicating. There's, it's almost like they're giving up hope to scale back the search. They're following protocol. I get it. Or that guy is just a different kind of communicator. I don't know.
I love your take on this because it's different. Like Tara's take on it right now is just raw without knowing all the drama and all the interviews of the parents and all of that stuff. She's only going off of what we have watched tonight for the most part.
And I'm a human analyst, so I'm specifically trained to look for things, and I don't like the way these law enforcement are communicating. They're not being completely transparent. They're holding some stuff back for whatever purpose. I would not be surprised that, despite what I have said in the last few moments, it would not surprise me if they do have, if they're leaning into a suspect that is familial, but they're not willing to say it because social media has already grinded those axes in, right? I know
that's extremely possible, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're seeing that out there, because we know from our experience with the Kansas Moms case, when you have social media, that's why I went into the Kansas Moms case, because I knew that there was connections to people who were making bad decisions and resulting in loss of life and social media. But we were watched very closely. We found out later on. The Facebook group, our lives, other creator lives, they were watched very, very closely to see what was being put out there by the creators who were claiming to talk to, offering anonymous information. They were watching all of us. We found out later on. We've gotten quite a bit of information on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would not surprise me if that's why they may be saying social media is not helping. It's really disturbed our case because it went into it's his fault, it's her fault type of tug of war versus doing what I've seen to be typical, which is you got these social sleuths on the ball, start contacting the family, asking if they can help, and then creating the relationships, becoming insiders, so to speak, what Carrie and I do. And so that I'm kind of curious if maybe that's why they're trying to pull back from saying any suspects. They're pulled back from, we learned from a previous case that when searches are pulled back or non-existent, it's because authorities know something they're not willing to share to minimize the rumor mill, social media, all those functions, all those factors that they can't control.
I want to say bingo. That's what I think anyway. That's what I think. Like I said earlier, I think they got frustrated and irritated and said, "All right, we're just not going to share jack crap with any of you because every time we do, it turns into a shit show." And it has turned into a shit show.
I just want
Which
to
is
point
really
out,
sad because Sebastian's the one that's missing, right?
yes,
His mom is not missing. His stepdad's not missing. Seth is not missing. We don't need to go find these people because law enforcement knows right where they are. You can bank on that one. And yes, like Tara said, they absolutely do watch these lives.
Yeah, they do.
They watch everything, and we definitely found that out with the Kansas case.
And so we won't go into that here for those of you listening in the chat, but if you go over to shenanigans, that will be something that will be talked about. Is how we found out about that, as we found out firsthand that all these things are looked at and reviewed and studied. To social sleuths, when they get involved to a certain degree, they're figured out quickly. So once I can get shenanigans, once I'm on track with my personal life and the issues there, well, that next show on shenanigans is going to talk about some of that, how you find some of that out. So it'll be interesting.
And again, I'm going to drop Tara's link for her channel. If you guys will go sub up and press that bell so that if she ever does go live again.
I don't want to hear it. This was out of my control. We were set and things went all to shit. By the way, I just want to point out that up until recently, Carrie was on no cursing show and she just cursed on her own non-cursing show. I've been trying to, and she's like, if you'll not curse for me, I'm like, and then thanks to our last guest, that Pandora box has been opened and I am free. Thank God.
Oh my gosh. But if you guys heard our conversations, it doesn't go quite like that. But that's why I'm the nice one and Tara's not.
I'm just an open
Cash
communicator.
Shenanigans sounds like an Irish pub.
I'm Irish. What do you want from me? I know
she's not. She is going to be.
I am Irish. I have from a long line of Irish people. So you're welcome. Come. Should have called it like the Shenanigans Pub. That's what I should have done. And we have time. We have time.
Pretty fitting, actually.
And actually, because we drink. Yeah, everybody's expected to drink on that show.
So this next video is it's a kind of a short documentary that Nashville Channel 4 did behind the story, the search for Sebastian, and this was back on. And I'm so sorry, you guys, but I'm outside because I have to be. This was done on April 4th. So I'll mute myself again because these trees are crazy. Or the bugs or whatever it is.
A deep dive into some of the big stories that we've been covering. And this offers us an opportunity to really provide context and depth to some of the headlines that you've been seeing here on WSMV. I'm Amanda Hara. This is Michael Warwick. And he has been covering extensively the search for Sebastian Rogers, which is now in its fifth week.
Yeah, more than a month. He went missing February 26th. It's believed he wandered from his home, walked from his home, may have been barefoot. And here we are more than a month later, no sign of the 15-year-old with autism.
And Michael, I want to go back in time a little bit because you were one of the first reporters who we sent to cover this story. And you were kind of there during one of these original news briefings. And you asked a very important question of authorities about surveillance video.
This would have been day 3 or day 4 when the investigators came out and briefed us as to where we stood in the investigation. And I asked the deputy chief, you've asked for all this surveillance camera footage, all this doorbell camera footage from across Sumner County, from those specific neighborhoods where he lived. Have you seen anything? Has anybody brought you a photo, a doorbell camera image that shows you Sebastian? And he said that no, they haven't actually been able to put eyes on Sebastian since that night he went missing, which really stood out to me as a reporter because we know everybody nowadays has doorbell cameras. It seems like there's so many of them across the county, surveillance camera footage. And if he was to have walked away from his home, you'd think that somebody would have picked up a trace of him. And that was not the case.
It really is mystifying. And you can kind of pick up on the fact that investigators feel frustrated with the lack of leads or the lack of movement, I guess you could say, in the investigation.
Exactly. It's something I sense talking with them. They are frustrated. They've covered 2,000 square miles in just a few days since he went missing in February. They've done another search this week. They're bringing in boats. They're bringing in ATVs and search dogs. They've got boots on the ground, walking through woods, checking ponds. And they have what they say is very few clues as to what happened to Sebastian. And it's something I sensed is that they are frustrated. And it's tough for them. It's tough for the public.
And it's interesting to kind of see, they originally decided to scale back their search efforts, right? So they said, okay, we've got people on standby. We're going to respond if we get a lead. We've got boots on the ground that can go immediately, but we're scaling back the search efforts there at the scene.
Yeah.
So that kind of happened. There was a lull almost in activity. And then within, since yesterday and today, we've seen hundreds of people now back in the area around the home where he disappeared from, his family home. So it's just interesting to see, go from this lull, no new leads from what authorities are telling us to all of a sudden, this recanvassing effort that's involving hundreds of experts out there.
Right. Some new people that are out there that hopefully can shine some light on some things that they may have missed. It's important to point out that in the few days after Sebastian went missing, in those original press conferences, they said that they were working under the belief that he wandered from his home, that he walked away and that they were out searching for him and it was just a matter of them finding him. That was the original belief. Yeah. Here we are several weeks later, and I think that has changed because now the TBI and the investigators are saying everything is on the table. Every possibility is on the table. There's no evidence that points to foul play. There's no evidence that rules out foul play. So I think that that has kind of changed a little bit. That belief that he just walked away from his home, sure, that's a possibility, but it may not be exactly what they believe at this time.
Right. So Holly Thompson had an exclusive interview with Sebastian's mother and stepfather, and they talked directly to that point and said,
I can't remember if they're actually going to play a portion of that interview or not. Cash is being rotten over here, by the way.
We don't believe that he simply walked away based on his history. So take a listen to that.
He's not a runner. He's never run away before.
Is this Katie?
This is Katie. So this is his mom. I want to say this was the second interview that they had done, maybe third. It wasn't too far into it. So yes, this is Katie and Chris, the stepdad.
Okay.
I don't know why he walked out that door.
And so just kind of to clarify and give context to that, they're basically saying that this is not something that he would do normally. He wasn't the type of child that would just leave regularly. So that's why this is confusing to them. If he did indeed walk out the door, why?
Yeah, and he could have. I mean, there's only a certain number of things that really could have happened. Either he walked away willingly and it's just a matter of people finding him. He may have walked away willingly and somebody took him. Somebody may have done something to him. I mean, there's only a certain number of theories at this point that could explain where Sebastian could have gone. I know that people with autism, kids with autism, some experts have come to us and say that is something that they do. They wonder. It's a reason that they check some of those bodies of water because they can be drawn to bodies of water. So it's like the word you used is mystifying, and I think that's the best word that we could use.
Earlier this week, it seemed like a little nugget was dropped by investigators that could potentially lead us somewhere of value. And they had mentioned during a news conference the other day that a pair of glasses had been found during the search for Sebastian. They have since come out and said the glasses that we found do not belong to Sebastian. This is off the table as a piece of evidence or a clue in the case for that matter. And we've also heard from the parents who went on national television, the stepfather and mother, and they have actually left their home because the stepfather has a job in Memphis. So they've left their home there in Sumner County to be there in Memphis for work. And there was some criticism for that decision to kind of leave while the search is happening around their house.
Yeah, they said in that interview with Nancy Grace that it was for the stepfather's work. She asked them why, and the mother had said that she wanted to be there with her husband for his work. They have since, according to investigators, cooperated fully with anything that the investigators have wanted. Anything the sheriff's office has asked of them, they said that they have done. So yes, they've received some criticism for leaving, but as far as from what investigators have told us, they've done everything that they've been asked to do.
They also face some criticism just from people on social media saying, why did it take you so long to say something publicly? And in the exclusive interview that they did with Holly Thompson, they said, please don't judge us. You have no idea what we've been going through. And they talked a little bit about this emotional roller coaster with her that they've been on. How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one. And it's a never ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
And just a few days ago, you spoke with Sebastian's biological father. So we just heard from his stepdad and his mother, but you actually did an interview with his
Seth Rogers.
dad. Yeah, and it was such a profound interview and so gut-wrenching. Walk us through how that interview came to be, and then we'll play a little bit of it.
This actually came out, this was last Monday, and the United Cajun Navy had come in. They'd been searching for Riley Strain in downtown Nashville, and were here. And so after the resolution to Riley's case, they moved over to Sumner County and said, well, we'll help search for Sebastian. And we had arranged an interview at the place that they were sort of meeting in their command center. And they had asked Seth Rogers to join, and he came and was more than willing to talk to us for the first time. This was the first time I had a chance to talk to him. He's been out searching himself and was very moved by the attention this case has gotten, and you felt for him, and I know we have a piece of that interview.
Yeah, and what I appreciated about it was, the love with which he described his child. So take a listen.
Every day. Every day. I have to. Stop looking is to give up hope. And I'm just not into that. He is my heart. If you get to know him, you'll smile all the time. When you see him coming, you'll smile. When you hear his laughter, it's the sun coming through the clouds.
I mean, just to hear him describe his son like that, goodness. It's just kind of gets your heart immediately. What is one thing that really stuck out with you? Because you've kind of been in the thick of it, Michael, boots on the ground reporter. You've been there among the search crews using all types of tools to try to find him. What's a moment or an exchange or something someone said that is really going to stick with you?
The attention that this case has gotten from the people who live in that area, who truly went out and were walking along rivers and in woods and checking their sheds as they were asked to do. We even got a chance to speak to some people who have autism or have children who have autism. And if you want to talk about people who have their eyes on this case, it's those folks who know what it's like to raise a child with autism, who know what it's like to have autism. And this case is one that they are thinking about all day, multiple times a day. And for them to get a resolution to this case would mean the world.
I think it's something that just resonates with all parents, right? Like this is every parent's worst nightmare, and to see this unfolding is just so troublesome. Michael Warwick, thanks for sharing your perspective with us. We should mention TBI says they've gotten more than 300 tips. They're really asking people for a couple different things. Only share evidentiary information. So factual information not based in rumor if you're submitting a tip. They want to hear your tips, but they don't want it to be something that you heard on social media. And they're also asking people not to spread misinformation on social media. They say that can bog down their investigation. They got to spend time following up on leads that are typically dead ends. So those are the two big requests there. We are on top of the search that is happening today. We're going to bring
Will.
All right. What do you think about that, Miss Tara?
I may be a different kind of mom.
I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
I need to go back and look at her other interviews, but I may be a different kind of mom. But I will tell you, if my child was missing and there was hope, or that there was hope for proof of life, or there was lack of evidence suggesting otherwise, I would tell my husband, who's not the father, go ahead and go to your job. Sure. Great. That's going to provide income. Cool. I'm going to stay here, because if my child, who has been diagnosed as being autistic, finds their way back to home, I want to be there. We'll figure out the finances. We'll figure everything out. That, without understanding Sebastian's behavior and his method of thinking, without understanding who Katie and Chris Proudfoot are, my immediate Tara-based response, my maternal, my instincts, my me stuff says, yeah, you can go ahead and walk away. Just cool. Go do your thing. Come back on the weekends, whatever. I'm not leaving until I'd have something that gives me an answer one way or another. To me, that just confounds me that in her statement, and she's emotional, she's upset, I get it, but to tell a reporter who puts in his own words, probably she wanted to support her husband in his new role.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Good for you. Support him from text messaging. Do some FaceTime. Do some WhatsApp time.
That's been a huge source of contention for many people that follow this case, is the fact that, when was that interview? So it wasn't.
It was just a month after.
Yeah.
According to that.
And that is a huge source of contention. However, I think when Texas EquiSearch talks, that might clarify a little bit.
That would be great, because that I'm glad there was more to follow up on.
Maybe why the real reason was that she decided to leave. Because I'm with you. Like, I would be sleeping on my front porch. There's no way you could drag me.
I'd be homeless on the street, just
unless
in case.
There are certain things that would, but
yeah.
otherwise.
Well, I say that. I say that. Let me clarify that a little bit. I would like to think that is how I respond. Is I'll just camp out in the street until my child is found, comes home, whatever. That floors me. A little over a month after, and they move, that floor. I'm sure they're not the only family to do that, though, right? This is, you don't get to hear about all these things, but
right. So stepdad always worked out of town,
Mhm.
about 3.5 hours away or so. So he's gone a lot. Mom
Okay.
and Sebastian were together a whole lot, by themselves. His biological dad, Seth, had him every other weekend, and he is a correctional officer.
Okay.
So he would work 12-hour shifts with Sebastian at home.
By himself?
There, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So free Tara.
I'm not in my
Dude,
basement. There's
free
a window
Tara.
right there. Free Tara. I don't.
Oh my gosh. Stupid phone just said calling Tara. No, we're not calling Tara.
It called me. It did.
Oh my gosh.
Got
Tara's in the basement.
It's better than I was. That came. It could have said free Tara. She's in the closet, I guess. So at least it's the basement, I guess.
Right.
I don't know, but for fuck's sake, sus. Well,
so
we're
the
not in the
next
same space. Hold on, Cash. We're not in the same space. Carrie and I live an hour from one another, so we're never in the same. We're never in the same place. We're always
too
separate.
funny.
That's
funny.
awesome. Cash needs to start
The
returning to our
next
chats.
clip that I
Sorry, yeah.
put together is from Michelle Walks, and she is a creator that I do highly respect. I feel like she truly does her absolute best to put out factual information. She kind of gives her opinions and stuff, like we do, I think. But I just think she's a very good creator. So I just wanted to play this clip from hers because I enjoyed hearing her thoughts on this. Oops. I got rid of Tara again.
I have to reload every time. It's awesome.
Oh, shoot. It helps if I share it, right?
That would help.
Okay. Have it your way.
Interview that Nick Berries from News Channel 5 Nashville had with Chief Deputy Eric Craddock. Nick posted a little bit of that interview on his Facebook page yesterday. I played that at my live stream yesterday, just before the press conference aired. He released that just before the live presser. But there's a little bit more on News Channel 5 Nashville's website. I'd like to see the full unedited interview, but it is what it is. I'm going to go through that in this video, and then later on I'm going to be live over on Michelle Walks, and I want to go through Nick Berris's live stream that he did on Facebook, because he expanded somewhat on what he's released here. And also I want to discuss the Court TV episode from last night with Vinnie Politan, because that's quite interesting. All right, over to Nick Berris's interview with Eric Craddock. I'm going to comment throughout. Let's go.
Is that too fast? Do you want me to slow it down just a bit, or are we good?
There's been an exhaustive search for Sebastian, but with few updates from authorities in recent weeks, some have wondered, is enough being done? We're doing everything we can do. Every time a tip comes in, we follow up on it. Eric Craddock is chief deputy with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and heads up the investigation. He sat down for an exclusive one-on-one to talk about what they do when there are few new leads.
I think in the absence of information, what we'll continue to do is go back over everything we've already done once, put a fresh set of eyes on it.
Standard procedure. It's what everybody should do. If you're a citizen sleuth, that's exactly what you should be doing. You know, rather than going down a rabbit hole. And look, listen, we all go down rabbit holes. I do love a good rabbit hole. But really, seriously, if you're investigating a case, you've got to stick as close as possible to the facts. When there aren't many facts out there, then that's when the speculation and the rumor mill runs absolutely wild, and it becomes far beyond a theory. It becomes just a fantasy. Theory's fine, fantasy, not so much.
Searchers recently found a pair of glasses, which they are checking to see if they belong to Sebastian. He says the parents continue to fully cooperate.
Any evidence of foul play? We have not cleared anyone but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
Okay, so that's a little bit contrary to what Chris Proudfoot said on his interview with Nancy Grace. He said that he'd been cleared. He used the very words, "I've been cleared." No, no one's been cleared. They won't clear anyone. In the Michael Vaughn case from Fruitland, Idaho, they knew full well that Michael had been abducted. They know there's 4 suspects in that case. They've known from reasonably early on Michael was abducted, but they've never come out and said the parents have been cleared. They've used the same kind of words that Eric Craddock has used, things like not interested in the family. The family are cooperating. They knew full well Michael had not been disappeared on.
And I just want to say real quick that Michael Vaughn he still has not been found. And he is from Fruitland, Idaho.
Murdered by any of his family. They knew full well from early on. Obviously, the investigation has to happen. They searched Michael's house multiple times, just like they searched Sebastian's house multiple times. But they won't come out and say that they've been cleared, even if essentially they have. So Chris Proudfoot coming out and saying he's been cleared isn't true. I mean, they may have used those words to him, but just because they say those words doesn't mean to say that you're absolutely in the clear, because new evidence could come to light. And these guys don't know. I said at the presser yesterday, they don't know. No evidence of foul play, but they're also keeping all of their options open. It sounded like all the same words that have been used in TBI press conferences in relation to the disappearance of Summer Wells from Hawkins County in Tennessee. That case goes all the way back to June 15th, 2021. We've not had a press conference regarding Summer Wells for, I don't know, the longest time. Same state, same remain tight-lipped. I want to see the security footage of Sebastian coming out of the restaurant with his mother on Sunday night. They've showed Seth. There's absolutely no reason why they can't show surveillance footage. There isn't. Listen, they showed all the surveillance that they had, even a bit of police body cam that featured Riley Strain. It's only, 20, 25 miles away from where this is all occurring. Same organisation, obviously different county, but TBI, same state, same area, and they released all the surveillance footage. Did they, at that point when they released it, know that there was absolutely no way that Riley had come to harm due to foul play? No, they didn't know that. But they released the surveillance footage to jog people's minds. So why not release the surveillance footage of Sebastian? Why not? Let's just see it. And more importantly than that, let's see the security camera footage that was taken by a neighbour of Sebastian taking out the trash. It will prove to the people who doubt it that Sebastian made it home that night. Why not release that? No reason why they can't release that. I don't know, though. I'm not part of the investigative team, am I? I'm not making the decisions, am I?
Exclusive home security video obtained from the neighborhood the night.
Oh, yes, this is Michelle After Dark. And she has another channel, Michelle Walks.
Night, Sebastian disappeared. You can see 2 suspicious light sources, which we've circled here, in an area behind the teen's home. Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play a role.
Okay, so what was released there by News Channel 5 Nashville on their screen is a little bit different than the fuller security footage that Nick Barris released. And that's not the full security footage, even though it's more than what was shown here. And I think you do see what, in retrospect, we now know to be a garbage truck. Why Eric Craddock can't just come out and say, we believe it was a garbage truck, it was the trash collection, I've no idea. Seth Rogers has told us that it was a garbage truck. So let's play that security footage again that Nick Barris released. All right, now what I want you to do is watch here. Watch here. Let's move this down. So you can clearly see here, these are bushes. These are floodlights. I think there's a bush there or something. And then you see you've got subject 1 and you've got subject 2, who comes and goes. Now, what people have speculated is these are trash truck men, collectors, like picking up bits of trash from the neighbourhood, which could be true. But I want you to watch here, because this is what Nick Barris didn't show on this latest interview. What is this? Now, when this was released, I thought that was lights from a house, but somewhat obscured by something. But other people said they look like headlights. What if that's the trash truck? And if we see the full, like Seth said, he's seen like 10 minutes of this. If that's the trash truck, we're going to see it moving, probably waiting there for these guys to do whatever they're doing. Subject 1's disappeared because they've gone off screen, so they might have just circle back around to the truck, and then they're going as well. But if we see that moving, like driving away, we know that can't be a house obscured by something. Even if Eric Craddock says that he's not going to say what this is because it's in evidence, well, yeah, it's in evidence, but if they know that's a garbage truck, why not just say that? Are the garbage people suspects? I don't know. All right, let's finish off this piece here.
How difficult has it been, all the noise on social media?
Oh, the rumor mill on social media has done nothing to advance this case.
Craddock says investigators continue to work the case daily and deal not with feelings, but facts and evidence.
There's no stone left unturned.
Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
That's all very well. And yes, there is a very negative element to social media, but they could use social media to their advantage. If they were just a little bit more open and shared what they can share, rather than saying, oh, we're not going to tell you what the security footage was, we're not going to tell you this, we're not going to tell you that, it leads to people filling the void, understandably, filling that void. And yes, there is the element that's very negative on social media that is distracting, but remaining tight-lipped on things that you could release doesn't help that in any way. It doesn't slow down the rumor mill, it speeds it up. We've seen this time and time again. In places where the cops are way more forthcoming with who they've ruled out and releasing of any footage that they can release, it at least gives people who are thinking rationally about a case the knowledge that they can move forward with a theory, knowing to exclude other things. Well, you can't exclude anything. It does take you down the rabbit hole. It absolutely does. And that's not fair to the people who social media might be implicating. And yes, of course, there's always going to be the people who will not listen, who will forge forward with their theory, regardless of what the cops say, but others won't. Engaging with social media in this day and age, ultimately, in my opinion, is positive. All right, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I will have much more to talk about later in my live stream. I'll put the scheduler up. It'll be over on my other channel, Michelle Ward.
All right. So I am super interested to hear your thoughts, Tara, because I've watched that probably 10 times. But and keep in mind, this was a while back. Let's see, when was that? And I put Michelle's link in the chat. This was, yeah, it's been quite a while, April 3rd. She continues to cover it. I don't know that she's really changed her mind much regarding that video that they just showed, but
Right.
but there's that. That's her opinion. And anyway, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure the video. That's home footage that they showed with some blurry lights.
It's supposed to be a neighbor's camera.
So we're talking
that
ring camera
that got
or
leaked. I guess it got leaked to Nick Barris, who's a Nashville news reporter, and
Okay.
he shared it, and it created a huge frenzy on social media. And then he did that follow-up interview with the sheriff, and the sheriff saying it's of no evidentiary value. When he was asked, is this, are they trash trucks? Well, you saw sheriff, he didn't answer that, which
right.
I still find kind of interesting because, like she said, if it is, then what's the problem with saying it is? And again, we're not law enforcement, we're not investigators, we're just
Yeah.
common people with these, questions.
Ugh.
Mm.
So I don't understand why you would not just say something simple like, yeah, it's a trash truck. We don't see any evidence. They're open to say we see no evidence of foul play. We see no evidence that these trash trucks or these lights are applicable to the situation at hand. What are they? They appear to be trash trucks, best as we can tell. How do you know? Based on pattern and trends of trash trucks in the past, this aligns with that timeline. So but it goes back to if this was in the same interview, it looks like where that sheriff was asked social media help, and he's like, has not helped to advance the case. So it's almost like they're hiding information to control social media to a certain point. There was a comment made about, sometimes they keep information private to prevent alerting suspects. I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time,
I think too that sometimes they put out. I think that sometimes they put out information too to maybe draw people in. I don't know. I just think if it wasn't any kind of anything that had to do with it, I don't understand why he couldn't just say, yeah, it was trash trucks and let's
Right.
move on, because I know for a fact that the stepdad, and I'm almost positive that the bio dad definitely said that he was told it was trash trucks, that he saw a longer version of it. What we saw was a very clipped I think kind of zoomed in. And I also want to say that the stepdad maybe had said the same thing. So there's that.
It may be. So if the family can say that with any kind of confidence, where they go to the media, social media, whatever platform they went to, why won't the law enforcement, the investigative teams say this? And that was back earlier in the lifespan of this case. Does anybody know if law enforcement has come back and said, "Yep, those are trash trucks. We're good. No big deal."
Nope. In
And
fact,
then
I don't think they've really talked much since then at all.
they probably took a
And
lot of backlash
no
from social
press
media.
conferences. Yeah.
And that bothers me when you don't do what I'd really like to see law enforcement do is have regular press conferences updating on the cases that are cold or cooling off. To me, if law enforcement doesn't come out and say we're having a regular press conference and we're going to cover, and even if they say we actually have no updates, please chime in, or at least something like a social media presence to keep the cases alive.
I
That's
agree,
how
and I
cold
think
cases get solved.
I know that it does lead to speculation, but it also could calm the rumors down. But here's the flip side. Well, law enforcement doesn't truly care about the rumors, but on the other hand, if people are calling in to TBI or the sheriff's department with rumors they heard on a YouTube channel or a Facebook group or Twitter, then they have to go check that out. And, many times they're not credible at all. So it does take time away from it. But I do think in a way they could tamper down some of them.
Well, in the way that it's a lot of, I'll call it investigative teams, just to kind of cover the across the nation level, is when you've got a case that is at a specific level and you've got tips that are being called in, those tips they're not random tips that are just passed over to the investigative team. They're vetted. And if they vet clearly and they do well, then they're passed over to the team. And if they're just random, I saw a kid, kind of looked like the kid, maybe is the kid, I don't know, and there's nothing to go on, there's no, well, where did you see them, what time, I don't believe those tips get through in every single investigative team. And so that may be some of what's being in play here is, they should keep these cases alive. That's how cold cases get solved years after the fact. Somebody gets a heart about them, somebody gets a value set about them, somebody gets religion, whatever, and they feel like they have to come forward with it, but only because somebody said something somewhere. It needs to be constant, has to be constant.
I do agree. I do. So the next clip, and it's kind of longish, but this is about the search. And this is EquiSearch, who they're highly respected, highly respectable in what they do. They work with law enforcement. They don't come in and just do their own private searches, or, they just don't. And they're going to explain the search efforts, kind of what they saw. They're also going to talk about, the mother and the stepfather, and how they were when EquiSearch approached them, how they were, the reaction from the mom and the stepdad, at least. So I think this probably is the most important part of the entire live, really, because I don't know, I know a lot of people watch this video, but you don't ever hear it being talked about. And this is from Duty Ron. Duty Ron is a retired New York City detective. He is, I would say, very factual, stays away from the drama, things like that. So that's who we're going to watch now.
My language, folks. I saw the outright. It was embarrassing at that point 2 weeks ago. What I was seeing happening, I felt so sorry for this victim, this boy. I was not thinking about the parents. I wasn't thinking about the stepdad. I wasn't thinking about anybody but the victim. I was trying to get him calm, trying to give us 411 of what's happening. And that's what Twyla said to me. She said, Duty Ron, I'd love to, but I got to get permission. Twyla?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And Duty Ron, I love you and you're our law enforcement liaison, but I did that,
out of respect for Sebastian's case and out of respect for these TBI agents, and like I have nothing against news reporters or nothing like that. Have them reach out to me. I've had multiple people reach out to me, my own family that's following this case, and it's been so embarrassing that my own family has reached out to me and says, "Are you okay out there? Is people making threats? Are you safe?" My mother, my aunt, they're probably in this chat, and they were freaked out and worried because everything that was going on. I will tell you firsthand, if you are working hand in hand with law enforcement, and that goes for any organization that's out there, if you are working legitimately hand in hand with law enforcement, there will never ever be a situation to where you're receiving threats or this, that, and the other. I'm not engaging in none of the bad stuff. I'm just saying, when you work hand in hand with law enforcement has your back, and they're going to be there, and all that craziness wouldn't going on. When I have my own family reaching out to me saying, "Oh my gosh, are you out there? Are you out there searching for Sebastian? Are you okay? Are you getting threats?" Like it's crazy. Like I'm not knocking any other organization, but when things go like that, it makes it very hard for law enforcement to trust the ones that do work hand in hand with law enforcement. I respect media and everything like that, but I will not do any kind of news, nothing. Duty Ron, you're my absolute favorite in the world, and that was the answer I gave to you, and not because I was being mean or trying to be disrespectful. It's because it was the right thing to do out of respect for Sebastian and out of respect for TBI.
And you know that I'm on board with that. Like, I didn't say to you, "Oh, Twyla, come on, just do it." Because if I did that, then I wouldn't have the best interest of Sebastian in heart. In my heart, I would be a jagaloon if I was doing that. So I go with this full screen to the people who are out there that are trying to benefit in some silly way off of the back of a autistic 15-year-old missing young boy. Shame on you. And again, we heard it from Ed Wallace, who's traveling outside of the country. He talked about these people that travel near and far and use their the loudspeakers and bullhorns and get out on their soapbox and start doing things. Things are, when you guys have law enforcement give you the blessing to go out on your own and start reconning, then things are aligned right. They now, like Dave said, trust your organization. They trust your track record. And don't think that TBI and FBI and all of these other agencies, before they commit and ask for you guys to come down here, they look at your history. They look at what you've been involved in and what cases you've covered and where Sebastian Rogers, 15 years old, 46 days ago, going on 47 days ago, he goes missing. The parents, everybody is looking at them and saying that their stories don't jive, and the stepdad, the mom, and I wanted to ask you, Twyla, I know that you communicate with a lot of these folks, and I'm not going to ask you about intimate conversations or things of that nature, but how closely have you spoken with, if you care to talk about that, with Sebastian's mom, stepfather, father? They're very vocal. Well, I'll say his dad, Seth, is very vocal, is going all over YouTube and on the media. How much communication, and this is what I know that, and let me know in the chat if this is a question that you guys want to ask this, how much communication does EquiSearch get involved with these families and with this particular family, and where do you guys draw the line and so forth? But answer what you can. I know I might be putting you a little bit on the spot, but what communication?
So when we get contacted by the family, most of the time if we get contacted by a family member about their missing loved one, immediate contact with family starts right there. And of course, we refer them over to law enforcement. Law enforcement then has to give us approval, and then we'll talk to law enforcement, then we go back to the family. If law enforcement calls us in on a case, me personally and Dave also, we always ask, I make sure it was 100% okay with the TBI agent that I'm working with. I'm not going to blast his name out there because I don't want people blowing him up because I know his phone's already going crazy. But I literally asked this agent, "Are you okay? Are you okay with me going in and meeting the mother, the stepfather, the family, the biological father?" He was 100% okay with it. I did meet the mother. I did meet the stepfather. I will not give any opinions whatsoever because I'm not going to sit here, judge, talk about them. They're humans just like we are. My responsibility is to try and, as well as my team, to find this child. We're not going to judge. We're not here to investigate. When I talk to these families, I tell them straight up, look, I don't get paid for what I do. I'm not an investigator. I'm just like you. I just have on a different shirt. I've got on different boots, and I'm going out here. Where would you like me to go to try to find your missing loved one? What do you
This is one thing I absolutely love about EquiSearch, is what Twyla is saying right now. This is how they are in every case. So they do meet with the parents. They met with Summer Wells' parents as well. They do cases all over the country. An amazing, amazing organization.
Thank you. Who do you think I should go with my team to search? What do you think we should do? I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to bad mouth the mother, the stepfather, or the biological father, because right now, judging them is not what's important. If everybody will take that negativity and dismiss it, share this kid's flyer, keep his name out there, pray and pray and pray, instead of giving negativity towards that family, Sebastian may get found, and everybody out there may get along. For who knows, maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not going to say this, but who's to say, the mother isn't afraid to go out there and search because she's been threatened. We don't know how we would feel in a situation. I know how I would act if one of my kids went missing, but as a professional, I also know what I would need to do. And I would probably have to step back and let law enforcement do their job. That's the only way a case is going to go. Outsiders may stumble across something and save the day with a missing person, but all this negativity towards these parents, that shouldn't even be important. What should be important is keeping this child's name out there, his face out there, passing out flyers. To sit here and assume we can do that all day long, and we can drive ourselves crazy doing that. But what's important is everybody working together to keep the peace, to try to find this child and bring him home for his family. And if anybody harmed him, that is law enforcement's job, not ours. And the whole world and everybody this, and TBI knows this because I've been in contact with him daily. I will tell you that the family was 100% okay with me and my drone pilots or our teammates, whoever was there to assist. I will tell you without a doubt, that family was okay with us literally parking.
So I think that this part is very important considering the latest cycle that's come out on social media about the mom and stepdad not allowing reporters and turning people away and harassing and things like that. I think that this is very important to listen to what Twyla is saying.
in their driveway and doing whatever business we needed to do while we were there. They were okay with it. They wanted us to park there. They wanted to do whatever they possibly could to make us feel comfortable to help try to find their son. But out of respect for the family, out of respect for Sebastian, and out of respect for that neighborhood that has been strangers everywhere taking pictures and this, that, and the other, we took ourselves away from that area so that it would not draw any kind of attention. Because I will tell you firsthand, when I went over there to that house with our drone pilots, to officially introduce myself and let them know, hey, this is who I am and this is what we're going to do. Mr. Such and such sent us over here. We're working hand in hand with them. They opened their home up and allowed me to come in. I had conversation with them. They were people just like me and you. And I let them know straight up to keep the attention away from y'all so that you can have some kind of peace while this investigation is going on. We're going to take ourselves on another street so that the attention's not there. While we were there, I cannot tell you how many cars was coming through that neighborhood taking pictures. One snapped a picture of me as I was getting in my vehicle, and I thought it was just completely disrespectful to take some pictures from somebody's driveway or their yard that's got a kid missing and put it on social media. Oh my God, who is this? Who is this? Whatever. I don't care if you know who I am. I don't care if you know that I was there, because I was there, but I wasn't there doing an investigation to this family, because my responsibility is to assist law enforcement and this family find their child and their loved one to bring him home.
Because that's your mission. Buddy, pause.
So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is where I can give the mom some credit and some leeway, because her husband is working 3.5 hours away, and she is there by herself, and it is nothing but traffic nonstop. The neighbors have even complained about it. It was horrible. I can't imagine. And I hope that, viewers and people watch on replay stop to think about, how would you feel if you are a single woman, your child is missing, you have no clue what happened to him. Are they coming back for you? What is going on? And you got people going up and down your road, snapping every single picture, video, flying drones over your homes. To me, and I'm not a very scared off kind of girl, but to me, that would be intimidating, very intimidating. What do you think?
So it's how sick do you have to be to think that you can drive down a residential street and potentially see something that cracks this case wide open? How deluded do you have to be? How mindless and thoughtless do you have to be to go stalk somebody and put them in a position of feeling like they can't be there? Especially if you're one person that you want to be there for your kid, you want to be around, you want to make sure you're there should, he or she walk back in the door, but you have complete strangers judging you. And I'll research this case. I guarantee you I won't find all the details that are available, because the investigative teams are not going to provide all the details available. There are things that Joe couldn't talk about last week because
Right.
he worked directly with law enforcement on certain things. He can't share those. Not yet. He hasn't even shared them with me or Carrie because he can't. So this adds a very strenuous angle that this person from this equine search is like, there's strangers taking pictures of me, posting me on Facebook or on social media, want to know who's this person.
Yeah,
That's
I
sick.
think it would be terrifying. It would be terrifying.
It would be.
And it's a complete invasion of your privacy, 100%. So I will add in this little tidbit. The stepdad's daughter came for the summer, and there were pictures taken of them in church with her. There were pictures taken of them out eating dinner with her. Are these parents not supposed to eat? I things like that just
Well,
they
think about it,
irritate the
'cause
absolute hell out of me.
if the home is where he went missing from and you're stuck in the home all the time, honestly, there's nothing wrong with taking a break, especially if people aren't looking until you get there. That's why I said earlier, I would like to think I would know what I would do. And I was in 5th grade when I learned that concept, so it's easily learned. But it's easy to think that you would know what you would do. It's one thing to get in that position and then have social media involved.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then, and I can, if you give me very little information, I can tell you a lot about a person. Carrie gives me names all the time and says, tell me what you know about this person. And I'll go bring up childhood memories for you. Like, I will figure things out very quickly, but I'm not going to go drive by somebody's house. And I'm within 10 minutes of certain individuals that a lot of people
Right.
know, and I could go drive by that place with my cell phone and take, drive-by video recordings. But that's sick. That is so demented. That's such that I'm an emotional intelligence specialist, and that ranks so low on the emotional intelligence scale for me. There's no way in hell you would catch me doing something like it's one thing to go boots on the ground, go check stuff out, go look stuff, but respectfully within the bounds without causing risk
Yes.
to the case. When Carrie, you mentioned earlier, we were talking about going down to Oklahoma City to help find this young girl who was missing, but we were working with the family directly. We were asking them questions. When we get down there, where do we start at? Where do you want us to go? And they're like, here's some bounds you just don't go near. And eventually we didn't need to go down there, but you don't terrorize a family despite your speculation, right? Just like it was said earlier, speculate all you want, but do it in a space that is appropriate and proper. The court of public opinion can really shoot a case to shit. And that's so upsetting to feel, that to know, to understand, to interpret that a mom felt driven from her home because she felt unsafe. So unsafe, she couldn't stay there in case her son came back within a month, or I guess with just outside of a month after her son went missing. And so now I'll be damned if they come back and like, mom never actually walked out of the restaurant with the kid, blah, 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 whatever. Doesn't matter. Even when you think somebody is guilty, do you know the kind of pressure you put on a case when you step in as the lynch mob, the proverbial one, the one that just stalks somebody to the point where they scram? It's wrong. It is so wrong. And
it's exactly what Cash said. Nasty and
Nasty and
vile.
vile.
It really,
Yeah,
truly is.
I expect it's like those. It's like, I'll tell you what. When I was, oh my God, I think I was 19, and my boyfriend at the time, he actually ended up being my husband. That's a different story. He cheated on me, and at 19 years old, I was going to go beat that broad down because I'm like, it must be her fault. That's not reasonable. That's not logical. I have way grown past that. If somebody cheated on me today, I'm like, I hope you're happy with her because you're keeping her now. Like, that's going to have to work out for you. But I, at 19 years old, unreasonable, uncouth, whatever, not mature. Yeah, at 19 I did. But I know we're talking about grown-ass adults.
Well,
The type of people that
everybody
are out there saying they're grown-ass adults even.
Everybody's got to get their own pictures, their own videos. Let me tell you, the house looks the same. It looks the same in every damn picture.
What the hell do you
Google
need to
Earth
do?
does great wonders as well.
I'll tell you what it is, Carrie. It's that I saw her house and now I'm traumatized. I saw her house and oh my God, it's an attention horror thing. It has to be. You're not going to solve a case by taking a picture of somebody's home. You're doing that to get your 15 minutes of social media fame. So you lose, if you do something like that, you lose credibility in my book real quick. So you tell me a lot more about yourself than you do the people you're stalking.
Yep. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I drove by Tiffany Adams' home. I sure did. And I did take video, but I don't think I've ever put that on YouTube or social media at all.
Well,
and really, it was
yeah.
just for my own, curiosity. Like, I'd heard they have a ton of money and things like that. And I just kind of wanted to know where they lived, really. But yeah.
There's some things you need to take images of to put the story together. That's one thing and I'm sure that's what investigative teams do out there. You need a lay of the land. That was very desolate, very sparsely populated area. But you didn't put it out there for the world to be like, oh, look at me. I took this video. And there were several videos that went up on that case about, I'm driving by the scene of the whole activity and here's my video of it. It doesn't help. If it doesn't help, don't do it. Just don't.
Right.
100%. That's damning to me that she felt that way. And and I'm a strong-minded female. I'm pretty much, I don't give IDGAF. I have a very, ask Carrie. There's some things, so she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I'll do it. Watch, sit back, pour me a wine, watch this go down. So there's just, And that would be if I had people driving by my house constantly. How long before that one crazy person
Yes, that's just it.
makes the wrong move because they are so inflamed with emotion, thinking that I'm guilty, and they take me out only to realize it wasn't me. I
And
didn't do it.
that's where this case was, especially during that time period. I mean, oh my gosh, horrible. Margaret said we were all curious about the huge property, quote unquote, compound Granny allegedly owned. Well, she didn't. She owns an old farmhouse
Yeah.
and a typical farm that you would, nothing fancy at all. So it wasn't that interesting, to be quite honest.
No,
All right,
it
I'm
wasn't.
gonna keep playing this here.
Says was this level of search done within the first 2 weeks? If not, why wait so long? So the question from Money Pause, Twyla, is was this type of search done in the first 2 weeks? If not, why wait so long? So I'll let Dave and Twyla handle this.
100% it was done the minute that child was, the law enforcement got to that house and needed to start doing what they needed to do. Yes, 100%. And I can tell you firsthand with the agent that I've been doing business with, along with another agent and the EMA, I can tell you that every single day since that child has went missing, they have been working. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, the search that they did was bigger than the one that we were at last week.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Are you saying the search initially was bigger, more than 200 members? And you're both shaking your head.
100%.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for those 2 days that you were there, and anything that we might have missed.
No, I mean the outpouring and from the EMA to TBI to FBI to all the local law enforcement agencies, even the Secret Service was involved in this. For those of you who don't know that, there's one word that I can just leave with the community, and that's saturation. So if you think of saturation, you'll get your answer of what was covered. So there's again, I'm going to be like Twilight and not give up what was covered, but all I can tell you is one word of saturation, and one hell of a job for a 2-day event to have those kind of numbers. Law enforcement is being pulled from all jurisdictions and all over the state of Tennessee. That was a massive undertaking, and it was literally flawless. It was well ran, well organized, and everybody was there for the right reason, and that was to find anything that had to do with this little boy.
I want to ask you specifically, because a lot of times you deal with the families and you talk to either the parent, mom, dad, or both. How frustrating is this for a search group like yourself when you have all these rumors and infighting going on and people trying to just get that interview or camera shot of people that are involved in this? How does that affect you as it pertains to law enforcement, Twyla?
It affects us big time because, for one, law enforcement don't want to trust us because of what's been in before us. And then the families, I hold these families really close to my heart and treat them as if they're my family. And it gets to the point to where the family doesn't trust you. Like, they don't want to talk to you on the phone. They don't want to cry to you. Like, I want to be the missing person's family's shoulder to cry on when they need someone. And people that don't, that aren't qualified, that just want to go out here just for clicks, views, and drama and this, that, and the other, they make it very hard for us to be trusted with what we do.
Let's go. Yeah, and Twyla, I want to go to you.
I love
your
that she
communication with
said
TBI,
that.
and tell us as much as you can or as little as you can as it pertains to our Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, 15 years young, autistic, missing since February 26th of 2024. It's coming up on 3 months. In 6 days, it'll be 3 months. What's the line of communication, if you can talk to us about that with the TBI? Are you communicating with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, or is it exclusively through TBI?
It's straight through TBI. As a matter of fact, I just communicated with the TBI agent that we've been working with on Sebastian's case. I think maybe 2 days ago, I touched base with him and told him that we're ready to go back out and search for Sebastian whenever he's ready. And he let me know, we're good to go. He's going to keep me in the loop. As a matter of fact, we worked another case last weekend with a TBI agent that has also assisted on Sebastian's case. So we were out in Tennessee last weekend working with TBI on another case, and those agents that was with us also assist with Sebastian's case. So they have their hands full. They have not given up on Sebastian whatsoever. We could get a phone call any day telling us, hey, we need y'all to come over and assist with another search. That's the only time that we're going to deploy. If they give us permission to go and conduct a search without them, just we'll make sure that all of our plan that we plan on doing that day, we make sure that they know every single thing that we're going to be doing. And most of the time, I request for an agent to be out there with us. My light keeps going off in here, my bad. But we don't do anything without law enforcement. And I just communicated, like I said, with the agent on Sebastian's case maybe 2 days ago, or it might have even been yesterday. They definitely have their hands full with all this craziness going on the internet. Every tip that comes in, they have to check it, whether it's bogus or not. They have to check it out. So that takes time away from the investigation for the real stuff that needs to be checked out. So they've got their and like Dave said, so do we. Last week I had like 5 cases in my hand, and I think Dave probably has the same amount. So, but you better believe one thing: if they call and say, "Hey, we're ready to do another search. We need y'all to come in," we'd be there in a heartbeat.
And you guys were down there. Was there any communication from TBI or locals in regards to anything? Were you guys able to do any kind of counter surveillance or looking at the neighborhoods? Anything that you don't feel like you can talk about, then don't. But I'm just kind of curious if you guys did any reconnaissance in that neighborhood the house where he was allegedly walked out with no shoes on. It looked like multi-million-dollar homes from my Google search. How could there be no cameras on that?
I think this is another important part too. The amount of search efforts that were put into this one missing teenager is unbelievable. And I have to say, I get really angry when I hear people say they need to do more. They didn't do enough. What the heck do you expect? Like, what do you want? I get irritated about it. That's where I get a little passionate.
Block, and nobody have, like, those are high priced homes. They all have video footage. So Twyla, I just threw a lot at you. If you can answer, that'd be great.
I live near a hospital and life flight's going by, so that's what you hear. We have been in that neighborhood. Me and the drone pilots have been in that neighborhood multiple times. We were in contact with TBI. As a matter of fact, we were out there on that last big search that there was law enforcement from every county there. K9 teams, I think we were the only recovery team that was there. But yes, we have most definitely been in that neighborhood, and I'm just like you, and there's a lot of questions that I have, but I don't ask the questions because it's not my job to get involved in the middle of an investigation. My responsibility is to come in with Dave and our team to do what we do best in that search with the information that law enforcement gives us. But yes, it's a very beautiful neighborhood. The houses are absolutely beautiful. As a matter of fact, I took some pictures and videos because I was blown away at how nice that area is now. Because when I was younger, there was nothing there in that area. But now it's all subdivisions, very beautiful houses, $500,000 houses, like you said. But yes, we have been in the neighborhood. We have searched that neighborhood from top to bottom. Do we feel like I'll just say this, we know where he's not at.
Right. Yeah. And Dave, I wanted to go to you if you have any extra input to that. I know that you were driving around maybe separately from Twyla, or if you were down there. I don't know exactly what you guys, I don't ask the questions. I just know you guys are professionals and you search, wherever you were responsible to search. But anything additional that you could add to the location or anything for the audience?
I mean, the only thing I can tell you is that when, the drone team was down there prior to us getting the second call was, our main role was to clear the ponds. And there was at least 43 ponds in that area. By the time that we were finished, in 2 days, we cleared more than 43. I think we were close to almost 50 because through our recon, we found even more that wasn't even on the map. So we went ahead and
50 ponds cleared. 50. That's incredible.
and cleared everything that was in the TBI directed areas that they wanted us to go back over, make sure that there was nothing missed. And then at that point in time, we expanded it a little bit further. I think at one point in time, just the roads, and I think we were a block away from where we staged. I put on almost 60 road miles on my Razor, doing roadside ditches, in case you got hit by a car, and then looking for other areas. So that in case that we did get the phone call back, that we would already have some areas of concern that may turn out to be. So, but again, we covered everything the TBI expected us to, and it was a well-oiled machine with a lot of players, a lot of law enforcement. Again, we were the only search team outside of law enforcement that was on scene. So that meant a lot to us to be the only. So that's the trust factor that TBI has in us and the professionalism that we have and things that we can bring to the table. So, but everything has been in a certain circumference. Everything has been. I would almost have to say triple checked. I even see TBI agents, and this is no lie, and I understand what they were doing, but they were literally in people's front yards. They were in their fields. Doing line searches, looking for anything, glasses, anything that they can just give us a direction. So I know firsthand, and I've never seen that done before, to go into somebody's front yard and literally do a ground search in that type of grid, looking for something as minute as a pair of glasses. So
I saw a video.
Not to interrupt you, but I'll also tell you, we were responsible for the second time that our team was brought in. The first time it was me and the drone pilots. The second time it was our team. And I will tell you that we went out, recon these ponds or whatever, and I'll tell you that they were so thorough and wanted to be very cautious to make sure that everything around there was covered, that even if there was a pond in somebody's front yard, the agents that was assigned to us, great agents, they didn't care if that pond was in the front yard and you walk off that person's porch and that pond was right there. We was still sonaring it to make sure there was nothing there.
Do you guys feel like there's more areas that need to be searched? And I know we look at the missing and we look at that 10 mile radius from the home, right? And you go by statistics, right, Dave and Twyla? Most of these folks that do in fact go missing, and there's, even if there is criminal behavior or not, most of the times they're found in that circumference. Dave, you want to talk about that a little bit? And do you feel like they've done everything that they can do, or is there always more?
I mean, there's always more because you haven't found what you're searching for, of course. But through the investigation, you also have to take some of that into consideration as far as, like I think the homicide, the circumference now is over 10 miles from the point that's seen. Right. But in this case, we don't know if it's foul play. Then you have to go back to who's seen him last, what was the circumstances, and how much time did that individual have. So there's a lot of factors, and then you have to ask yourself, did this kid have leather on his feet? I mean, because I just don't see a child going out and walking a country road or going through the woods barefooted. It was hard. It was hard enough for us to go through with the clothing and boots that we had on. I cannot imagine somebody that didn't have the right clothing and definitely the shoes on his feet. So I take that into a lot of consideration as far as on how far, if he did, how far in could somebody get.
I also wanted, before I do that, just highlight some misinformation that was posted by Nick Beers. He has been following this case arguably from the beginning, and no matter what, if you like him or dislike him, he's reporting on facts. And he says, I appreciate that so many of you are continuing to show interest in this case. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen so everybody can look at it. It's not from Facebook. Thank you for messaging me with your questions. The 15-year-old autistic boy has been missing for more than 2 months from his Henderson, Tennessee home, vanished and not traced, found. Despite massive search efforts, authorities say that there's no evidence of foul play, though they have not ruled it out. In the absence of any new developments, armchair detectives on social media and podcasts create their own fiction. And I also appreciate so many of you contacting me to ask if any of it's true. You can trust I'll give you a straight answer. So what are a couple of the latest doozies? Now, I know that this is not probably well presented on screen, but if you can't see it, I'm reading it word for word. So here's some of the doozies. Investigators have obtained new video showing Sebastian alive on February 26th when he disappeared. And that is highlighted with a big no. These are misinformations that he's highlighting. That's recent. These are the recent doozies. There is evidence showing Sebastian was in contact with his grandmother on his mother's side before he disappeared. No, that is not true. How do I know? Nick says, I've been in direct contact with the lead investigator with Sumner County Sheriff's Office who says this latest stuff is all garbage. And I repeat, garbage. And this is what's muddying the waters and making things less than ideal for investigators. Would they like to have new leads? You bet. And they respond to all tips, but they deal with facts as I do. Do authorities tell us everything that they have in these case file? Nope. And I say that all the time. Ed and I both say that. But they won't lie and say something is false if it isn't. They will simply say no comment. Hopefully there will be a credible break in the case soon. But until then, please be very skeptical of stunning new developments unless they come from a credible official source. Call tips to 1-800-TBI-FINE. Tyler, Dave, can you handle this Old Hickory Lake, ? Will TVA let the water level down, sonar, ? Towards the Maple subdivision south? And I'm not familiar with the area. I know you guys are better than me. And towards Maple Motors west. Thank you and God bless.
So I'll answer this question the best I can. Don't think I'm being rude or anything like that. But if that's an area of interest that bothers you and there's something that, it makes sense that would put somebody over in that area, or if he would have wondered or whatever, make sure that whatever you guys is telling us that are areas that you feel like you need to be searched, maybe reach out to TBI and give them the information too. I have had people reach out to me about that particular lake. I have spoke with the TBI agent about that lake. And I can tell you right now, I used to live over in the area. And if he was in that lake, there's no doubt in my mind that child would have been found by now, because it is a very, very busy lake. People fish there all the time. When I asked TBI about us going out and searching, he's like, if you guys want to go out and search it, that's 100% fine with me. Just let me know. But I don't feel that there's a need for us to go search it, because in my opinion, I feel like that has already been searched. And if he was there, I feel like somebody would have already reported it or found him or something like that. But it's a very, very big place.
So did you guys search that lake, or was that on the search for that second search that you guys went? Because you talk about a lot of ponds or a lot of areas being covered during that search. Do you know if that was?
Our team did not search that lake that day, but I can tell you we've searched all the ponds within that immediate area, but we did not search that lake.
There was a lot that you guys did. And Dave, I'm sorry if I'm keeping you out, but Twyla is.
No, that's fine.
Anytime that you feel like there's something that you want to add to it, just jump in. So you guys searched. I remember you telling me you searched a lot of ponds. And as a matter of fact, one day when you were telling me you had X amount of ponds to search, I was like, you're going to do that one day? So it wasn't just you guys. You had LE with you, and you had other teams. There's a lot of people. That's true. No one some people may be lying, and that's true because there's no video. We have no evidence that he left wearing. I have it written down. Brown hair, brown eyes, wearing black sweatshirt, sweatpants, black sweatshirt, and has a medical condition and had his glasses on. We just got to go by what the mom told us, Katie Proudfoot. And I got to ask you, Twyla, did you meet any of these parents, or can you talk about that, or do you not want to talk about it? Did you or Dave meet the three of there's three parents involved here, right? You got Chris, Katie's husband, and you got and you got the father, Seth. Did any of y'all meet these folks and talk with them, or do you not want to talk about that?
Oh no, I can talk about it. Yes, I did. I met with them the first time me and the drone pilots went out. Had very long conversations with Chris and Katie. As a matter of fact, I read the mother's statement at the vigil. I was willing to let her go with me to the vigil. I literally, and this is something I wanted to say real quick. Sometimes we can't always focus all of our attention and put everything out there about one particular case. For Sebastian's case, it has gotten so bad that we've just decided to stay silent about it, because anything you say gets twisted around and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I wanted to say that if we venture onto another case, that's why, because we don't want to say too much because we're afraid of what the internet might do. But to answer your question, yes,
So even a professional national search organization, Tara, is saying the same thing.
Yeah, there's one thing that they said that I don't agree with, saying that I feel like if he was in that lake, he would have surfaced by now. I don't agree with that statement. There's been way too many times that I realize that how the body responds to water post passing. At the same time, there's wildlife contributors, things of that nature, saying, I feel like so-and-so is not there, so we're not going to search it. I don't like hearing that at all, especially if you're familiar with the area. That's taking advantage of what you understand. It's a very highly wooded area. Regardless if it's hearing somebody else say it was hard with shoes, there's no way he left and didn't have shoes. You can't say that, in my opinion, because you don't know what he could or could not tolerate with or without certain apparel. So that really upsets me. That really hits me at home to say, well, there's no way he could have. How do you know? There's no, the saying that is irresponsible, in my opinion. It is totally irresponsible to say that. And I would have challenged that if I was a part of that conversation. We have no idea My 14-year-old will walk out of here and go walk on this bumpy, old, crusty asphalt street that we live on. It's 80s. It's a nice neighborhood, but they've not refinished the streets in years and years and years since the streets were laid. That's it. It's a very nice area. It's a very busy, very busy thoroughfare in town. But my 14-year-old will just haul it out there on the, whatever rocks and stickers and everything else, no problem. So I'm not buying it. I think
Not cool with that.
Not cool with it at all. Saying, I feel like it's just like me saying my daughter goes missing, God forbid, and me saying, or somebody saying, somebody who lives around there's a pond in my particular community, and somebody around the lake saying, I know that lake, and I feel like she's not there because I would have known. How?
Right.
Go freaking check. Take the time to check. Just because they weren't there once doesn't mean that certain circumstances, certain factors won't influence that they'll be there later.
And it's also possible that he didn't actually walk there, There's
Yeah,
always
I
a
mean,
possibility.
there's a lot of possibilities going on here.
Real quick, I just want to say hi, Sophie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Is that Sophie that we know, Sophie?
It is. We
Hi,
appreciate you.
Sophie. It's been a long time since I've seen you or heard your very relaxing voice.
She does have one, huh?
She
really does.
The only reason why I used to listen to certain things, I'm like, oh my God, that is the best freaking voice ever. It's a wonderful voice.
She's like got a very calming
It
voice.
does.
Very.
Yeah, the only thing she's missing is an English accent, but other than that, is fabulous.
Right?
I'm very happy to see her on there. We'll have to, at some point in time in a future deal, we'll have to bring certain people up on panel to have an open. We actually should take about
Definitely.
shenanigans. Is probably what we ought to do.
Yeah.
That would be good to take the
certainly can.
whole old team over to shenanigans and have a very open conversation.
And I'm sorry that this is like, I did speed it up to 1.5 speed originally when I clipped it. And it's because it's 2 full 3-hour lives
Oh, good Lord.
that I combined into one, and I wanted us to be able to get through it. But I think the information that Twyla and David are saying is just really, really important. The amount of ground that they did search, that they did cover, the going into neighbors' yards. I mean, the whole, shit and caboodle, it was done. It was done. So for people to say it wasn't, or, I don't know. I just get irritated about it. I really do.
Sorry, I read Sophie's comment. I was trying to focus on you, but Sophie.
You're fine. I'm going to start this again. And then I think there's just one more clip I do feel is really important, especially at this point in the case. And if you're following it, the clip is going to, it's going to be important. So we're almost there. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Yep. Thank you so much for modding. As usual, though, we almost always have a wonderful chat without any problems. And Tara and I both appreciate you guys for being as respectful as you always are. Thank you so much.
Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame that you have to be afraid of what the internet's going to do? And that's what makes these cases even more sad. When you look at that component that people are hesitant about talking about it, and I see people putting stuff in the chat that some people getting their tires slashed and all kinds of craziness. Like that's not putting Sebastian at the forefront. That's putting yourself at the forefront. And this infighting, and I don't even want to grab for it, but the Jagaloon sign's right over there. You guys know I have that sign, and I'd have to move my cup of coffee. I'm going to move it because I want to get it. Jagaloon Lane, it comes into effect. And the people that are doing that have no care in the world about this kid and no care in the world about finding him, because they're putting themselves and saying, look at me. And that's horrific. That's horrific.
Just to finish your question in case somebody else says it in the chat. Yes, we have, me and the two drone pilots have spent time with Katie, Chris, and we also met Seth. I've also spoke with Seth on phone. I don't share anything that's been said to me. They haven't told me anything.
Don't want you to. But that's just a general question. Have you communicated with the Proudfoots and Seth? And the answer to that is yes.
Well, if I would mind saying something here, as far as what people have to understand is that just because you don't see, it's not in your face, doesn't mean that they've given up. So there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that is happening, that's out of the limelight of Facebook and social media and the news. So I can rest assure you that they're not giving up on this child. So don't make sure that you're thinking this thing all the way through.
Real quick, I'll make it real quick. I feel, with my opinion of working with the TBI agents that I'm working with on Sebastian's case, I feel like that they're doing a whole lot more than people think. And there's been times that I've communicated with this agent with TBI at 8, 9 o'clock at nighttime. So I feel like they're doing a lot.
Right.
From my point of view.
And you guys got a firsthand view, like better than any of us, of what they're doing, because you saw that whole mustered up group of people on that second search and maybe even on the first search.
Did we just lose it?
It stopped on my end, which is, I don't know if that says much.
It stopped on my end too. That's weird. Could be my internet acting up. I'm out in the woods on the lake.
Oh, it looks like it's trying to buffer, reset, do something. That circle of death used to mean buffering, and now I don't know what it means.
That's what that means right there.
You know, it's good to know some things don't change.
Let me see.
While we're waiting, I'm reading.
Yeah, if you'll talk for a minute, I'm gonna leave and then come back in and see if that
You're
doesn't
good.
help.
Sophie, so as I'm reading your messages, I can literally hear your voice saying them. That is how influential, impactful your voice is. It's just an awesome voice. I'm excited to get you over to Shenanigans and have some open forum conversations. We have the, you'll have to, I don't know, subscribe to the channel or send me your email, and I'll have to invite you to a few things. It's very exciting to see you and Ashley and the whole gang. It's very, very happy. So Carrie's come back, but I don't know if she's quite functional. I guess I should turn my camera back on since we're not showing anything. Carrie's better about that than I am. Gang's all here. Yes, it is. Rightfully so. That's right. Oh my goodness. So this is such a new case for me. There's so many different angles. I really need to go back and do some more familiarization for myself and really garner some information about all of this. I will agree with Twyla on the video, and Cash, no, that is not even remotely close to me, but I appreciate the comparison because she's pretty on point, pretty sharp. That's one thing to see what the media will show you. Media is just like any other show out there. They are selling sex just like any other show will. They'll sell what sells. And so if we like to see the, you know, there, like today, there was a school shooting and everybody gets excited about that. Everybody tunes in. Maybe you don't watch you don't watch the media very often, but somebody says, hey, did you hear about what happened in Georgia? And somebody's like, what do you mean? Turn on channel XYZ. And that's where those heads on the channels come in, the YouTube, whatever social media platform, whatever media medium that you use. And so that's how these things work. So when somebody can come out and say, I firsthand saw it because I was working with them, I was hearing what they were trying to do, I was interacting with them. Joe is a really good example of that because Joe had law enforcement okay to come down with his horse and look on horseback. And so there's things that you know, Carrie's internet is down. We'll just see how long we can carry this and see what happens with her internet. And so it's very good to hear somebody firsthand saying that, you know, law enforcement is doing a lot more than what the media is telling you. The media is going to tell you what sells. And I know that from a personal story of my own. You know, I had a brother-in-law who passed away, you know, about 20 years ago. And though we tried to get the media involved, when we decided against it, they were very pushy. They wanted the story. And because we wouldn't give it to them, they went out and got it on their own. And they were wrong on every level and every detail. They were wrong about my former brother-in-law. And so it's just, I get what she's saying about that. And I agree with it. I do wish they would have searched in more places. You guys need to say some things in the chat to give me something more to talk about. And Carrie just commented, and said, yeah, my internet in the woods went out. Well, you're in the woods, Carrie. I wonder if she can hear us. That would be hilarious. She can certainly text in, but she may not be able to share. So with that, we'll give her just another minute or two and see if she can tune back in. If not, we'll kind of wrap this all up. But Ashley Ann says, think about how often Nancy Grace is wrong. Okay, so that is a brilliant point. Ashley, I'm so glad you brought that up. And I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it. I'm okay with hate. Hate can be a good thing when it's used appropriately, at least hateful feedback. Let me put it that way. So when Nancy Grace started reporting on the Kansas moms case, we had information that others didn't have, but we weren't coming out with it because we were limited in what we could say, how we could provide sourcing. If we can't provide sourcing to back up something quote unquote juicy, we held on to it. If we always talk to, we try to pass things on to law enforcement. We got a real big quote unquote juicy piece of information, passed it on to OSBI, something they happen to already know. We'll talk about that later. But Nancy Grace came in with all the wrong details. It was so infuriating and so frustrating because I used to really like Nancy Grace because she seemed confident, no nonsense, spot on, not even going to try to entertain anything that didn't seem remotely correct. And when I saw that, knowing what we knew about the case, I was harping on Carrie saying, Nancy's wrong. She's absolutely wrong. She got all the wrong information. And then there was another media outlet that was reporting it wrong, even to the point where they had screwed up the last names of our Kansas moms. It was so infuriating to get the information that we were gathering from the case and to see the media screw it up, and people were just taking it as gold because it's the media. Surely they're reporting exactly what they were given. No, they weren't keeping the facts straight. And then they didn't say, hey, we reported it this way, and now we need to report it that way because we got it wrong the first time. This is how we're correcting it. And so, to Ashley, it was very eye-opening for me. I don't trust her now, and I'm really skeptical about the things that she had reported on in the past. I always thought she was a little forward, but that was just kind of part of her personality. I don't listen to her anymore. I can't. I have a really difficult time trying to even want to listen to her. I've just kind of shrugged her off anymore. Margaret DeYounger says, called OSBI last week. Officer could not have been nicer and patient with this fast-talking, blabbering fool. So yes, OSBI, I've talked with them a few times. Very nice people. Nothing negative to say there. I was really impressed. In fact, I had to call one back. I'm like, oh, so I gave you information and you already had it. It's great to be made to be a fool. Thank you. And of course they LOL'd me like, sorry, what can we say? Because they can't share stuff. So, and then she was the only mainstream option back in yeah, I know. Well, at least confidence. And that's the thing. I'm a confident person, but I will confidently be wrong too. I will confidently say, I said it this way and I need to walk that back or correct that. So it's the confidence that is really it's the part of the delivery that really sells it. But at the same time, come back and correct yourself. Don't just walk away from it like, oh, no big deal. Taking advantage of your audience like that does not impress me, but maybe I'm a pain in the ass. Who knows? Carrie's in, but I don't know if she's in. We'll see what she's doing. NG lost me sitting outside Idaho 4 crime scene. Make that make sense for me, Margaret. What is NG? Oh, Nancy Grace lost me sitting outside the Idaho 4 crime scene. Ew, I do remember part of her reporting on that. I didn't find it impressive. I found the Facebook group discussion far more interesting. And I think particularly because I think I found the one that the killer had actually created, if I understand everything correctly. But yeah, she's not my go-to for information. It's more interesting to see if you can find social sleuths that develop relationships with those that are impacted more than anything.
Tara, can you hear me?
She's Carrie, if you're talking, it looks like you are, your audio is not coming through. It doesn't show that you're on mute, but I do have the power to kick you out. So I should probably take a poll with the chatters to see if we should remove you or not, since you tried to.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I can see you talking. Can't see your lips moving. You're trying to talk. Nothing's coming through. I'm not sure what's going on with her. Thumbs up from Margaret. Yep. So I don't know. I'm just Carrie Todd Cash. Everything is just dead to you. And Cash is also Irish. We're cursing in Irish over here. Oh my
You need-
gosh. Who is? Yep, you need to. You're gonna have to just. I don't know. Not defend Cash, but describe him or detail or define. He's making a name for himself in the chat. I mean, we're gonna have him back because he makes the chat more lively. Internet down. You should be able to keep going. Let me see if I can. If you can hear me, Carrie. I feel weird. I feel like I'm talking. Tara kicked me. I'm about to. She can hear me. I feel like I'm doing a Ouija board thing. Carrie, if you can hear me, send me the link. What link were you working with on that one, and how far were you with the chipmunks that were talking 90 miles an hour? She's on Tara's mean. Well, you asked if I was the nice one. Now you have your answer. I'm consistent with everybody, though. How about that? Most people think I'm funny, Cash. I think. Cash. Oh, my cousin, so be nice. Mike, hold up. Oh, wait a second. Whose cousin? Margaret? That's got to be a name that I don't. Is it my cousin or Carrie's cousin? Because if I need to, now I have questions. I wondered if you knew me. I'm curious now. Margaret, can you text me? Now I'm not confused as much, Cass. I just need to know who Margaret is now because I don't feel like that's her real name. But I have all the questions. If Margaret texts me, that would be awesome. Chopped liver showed up at And I don't know that Carrie can hear me more. She's not texting me either. So I don't have Carrie's link to keep going with that. What was that, guys? That was, see if I can bring it up real quick. Was he Duty Ron? Is that right? Cash is my Irish cousin 5 times removed. Gotcha. Now I'm reading that better. We're probably all related. I'm Irish. Cash is probably more Irish than I am. Let's see if we can pull up Duty Ron. And I watch, he probably has 2,000 videos, and I'm not going to be able to find the one that Carrie had. That's not the right tab. Thank you, Eric. We were glad you were here tonight, even more so in the chat. Okay, so let's see here. And I think this was one, oh, he's going to have, Carrie, if that was a private members one, I'm not going to have access to it. And I'm looking. If somebody else has the link to it, share it to see if I can access it. But I'm not thinking I will be able. Was that a live? See, this is Carrie isn't meaningless. I've seen Carrie get sideways with a couple of people. Usually it's in my honor. Not saying she was wrong, but she had to get sideways with a few people. Okay, so I think that video wasn't that long ago, but I think it might have been a members only live, maybe, because I'm not seeing it in his feed. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. I appreciate the subs to the Shenanigans channel. We are excited about that channel. We were supposed to go live over this past weekend, but again, my mother-in-law had a massive heart attack, and I have been pulling full-time shifts at the hospital to be there with her. And we had thought we were looking good yesterday, and then we had a massive setback today. So we're not sure we're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. Things are not looking good. They are in bad shape right now. So tomorrow's a new day, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. So I don't think I have access to the, I added Carrie to the stage. I don't know I had to add her. That's weird. I wonder if, are you there, Carrie? Her internet out in the woods. Huh. We may just have to wrap it up and call it good, which is okay. We can continue on with next Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know which day we're on. My days are all running together for right now. After this, everyone knows who I am. Oh, you're Spook 243. I know who that is. Excuse me. I know who you are, Margaret. I'm very familiar with that. I've interacted with you on some other chats. Very cool. Carrie's gone again. She's like the disappearing YouTuber. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we've been at it for a few hours. I don't know if we had. There's Carrie again. I'm about to remove her.
Can you hear me?
She's buffering. This might be the most exciting part of our 3 hours together today.
Can you hear me?
Wait till shenanigans. That's a whole other area of shenanigery. Uh-oh, she's disconnected. So Carrie's, her cam and mic are not connecting. There she is again. She needs to pick a swim lane. Either she's here or she's not here.
Can you hear me at all?
Are you there? I can see you.
I'm here.
No, we can't hear you. Cannot hear you. Oh, Margaret, we never left you guys. Not for a second. We are glad to have you guys all here and we're going to stick to the facts and stick to the focus. Can I access? Okay. Oh, she wants me to look in the private chat. Hold on. She's got something for me. Let me go look in the private chat. Oh, okay.
Wait, can others hear me? Just not Tara?
Let me see if I can get this to where we were. She sent me the link. And
this is like a Verizon phone
that's
call.
only 5 minutes. Is that what she wants me to show? Let's see if I can do this. Hold on.
Okay. See, Tara booted me from my
we cannot
own
hear
live.
you. I can
She
access
can't
it.
hear
It's a
me.
5-minute
We're gonna
video,
boot her.
Carrie.
Watch. Okay, hold on. Bye, Tara. Just joking. So at least you guys can hear me then.
Carrie,
can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello?
Technical difficulties are real.
Oh my gosh.
She was trying so hard. What in the world?
She doesn't realize that everybody can hear me but her. Now's our chance, you guys. Now is the chance.
For the love of St. Croix, we have got to. This is not. Oh my God. Y'all drive me to drinking.
Okay, so.
She didn't kick me. I kicked myself.
No, actually, I did kick her. She'll figure it out later. The last clip I was going to share, I'm so sorry, you guys, but I had to come out here with my youngest son about 3 weeks ago or so. His father passed away. So we took care of him while he was on hospice, and he passed away about a week ago. So I'm out here, and it is on the lake surrounded by trees. So the internet does get sketchy, and I was hoping it wouldn't do this to me tonight, but of course it did. But the last clip I was going to show you, I'm on my phone, so I cannot do it. If you guys would take a look at the lab today, I know there's been a lot of discussion over Seth Rogers needing, oh, I see you, Tara, chatting like you're me down there, over Seth Rogers wanting to be cleared so desperately. And the reasoning that's being given is because he needs more resources. Tara, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Sweet. All right. So it's because he needs more resources. I do have to ask, what more resources do you possibly expect? We have Secret Service, TBI, FBI, every law enforcement agency that you could ask for. We have a $50,000 reward that just went up from TBI or FBI, not TBI, FBI last week. I really wanted to show you what the lab. So that is Josh over at the lab. I don't typically watch him, but I happened to do so this afternoon, and I'm glad I did. Josh is very well connected with the Cold Case Foundation. And what Josh said on that, and I wish I could share it. Maybe I'll drop it in a comment for you guys after this is over. But what he said is law enforcement has to ask Cold Case to come in, period. It doesn't matter if a parent is cleared, not cleared. That's just simply not the case. And he specifically had spoke with one of the head honchos at Cold Case Foundation. And I would definitely say Josh is in the know as far as the Cold Case Foundation. Okay, so that is why Seth and the people that are surrounding him said that they need him to be cleared. That was the entire reason. What Josh on the lab today said is that doesn't matter. It's not about being cleared or not being cleared. It's about the law enforcement asking for their help. Well, first of all, this is only, I know it feels like a really long time. 6 months is a long time for any child to be missing. But to try to bring in those kind of agencies to me seems a little bit premature. It's very obvious with the FBI reward that was put out last week that they are truly working hard on this case. So also he did say it does not have to be a cold case for them to come in. So that he cleared up those two things. And I really wanted you guys to know that. I will put the link in the comments after we finish this live so that you guys can check that out for yourself and not just take my word for it. But I do think that's very important considering what has been going on for the last couple of weeks regarding the dad needing to be cleared for more resources. So I just have to ask, what more resources do you possibly need?
Well, why are you
And
so
then,
concerned about being cleared?
right. And then today, Dog the Bounty Hunter, like him, not like him, I don't really care. He is joining the case independently. They said that they were, and I was going to share that link with you guys. It is on X under Dwayne Dog Chapman. You guys can find it there in the link. And actually, I might still be, no, I probably can't see it. Anyway, he's joining, not with law enforcement, but he's joining in general. And another group that he's going to be associated with has also pledged another $50,000 reward. So $100,000 reward for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. That's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Yeah, it is.
And Tara and I, we look at missing persons cases daily. We don't see these kind of resources. Layla Santinello, she is still missing from Kingsport, Tennessee. It's been a year. Her mom is on TikTok and Facebook every single day begging for help. Every day. So I think, in my opinion, that I think law enforcement has actually done a very good job. I think they have pulled out all the stops that they possibly can in order to find Sebastian. That's just my opinion. And with that, I'm so sorry I cannot share anything else. But I'm glad that after Tara kicked me out of the live that I was able to find my way back to you guys.
I did
Because
not
you know what?
kick you
just
out.
Can't get rid of me that quick.
I didn't kick you out. We talked about the life scheme we have.
No, but I did
together.
kick you out.
Apparently, I learned that the hard way. So it's good to know that we feel mutual about one another. I'll keep that in mind next time. Just wait. Shenanigans comes up soon.
That's great.
Smart ass.
So I really am sorry though. That's basically, since I can't share anything, that's all we have. But I think like my closing thoughts are just that as creators, and not even just creators, I think in general, when we are discussing cases like this, which is very sensitive, and there's a lot of passion behind it, and I'm thankful that there is that kind of passion.
Yeah.
I wish that we could get that kind of passion for other cases that we do cover. But for whatever reason, it just isn't the case.
Yep.
But I think that we need to be very careful with what we say on social media, for sure. If you don't think that you would walk up to Sebastian Rogers' mother and say it to her face, then I don't think you should probably post it on social media. And I do think that it's okay to have our own thoughts and our own opinions, our own speculations and theories, because that's human nature. It really is. But as creators, I think we are held to a higher standard because people follow us and they listen closely. So that's kind of my bitch session.
Well, and I echo all of that. It's that's why we want to do this, the things that we do. It's creators. I think that's such a weird term for what we do, because we're not creating the information.
No,
we are providing resources, information as best as we can interpret, but we don't just provide our interpretation. We ask for the interpretation of others, what others are thinking, because we don't want a group think type of mentality going on. We want that critical thinking, that analytical thinking. That's where a lot of aha moments come into play. That's the brainstorming that can be so valuable. And if we come up with something and we have legal teams, investigative teams that are watching these, they can be like, oh, hey, that makes sense because we have this other information. This is a piece to the puzzle that kind of fits in. So it's always good to be very open-minded, stick to the facts, speculate with an open mind. Just like tonight, you guys saw my thinking morph and change as Carrie, and she knows how I think. She does this crap to me on purpose. She's like, here, read this. And she wastes, what do you think? I'm like, I think that's
I have intentionally not told Tara much about this case.
Yes. She's been like, go check it out. I'm like, yeah, I will. She's like, actually, wait. And so it's, when you have an open mind to speculation, you have an open mind to evidence, you let the evidence talk to you, let the people and their communication styles talk to you. You build a picture based off of your open-minded critical thinking. So it's very, very important that speculation has a time and place, as long as you're open to new evidence, open to new theories, and hearing what other people have to say. There's all kinds of different experiences play a big part in speculation. So it's, and when you come into these things that are so, these are heartbreaking. I can't imagine. In the cases that we've worked, we were successful. We played a successful part, I guess I should say, in a case in Milwaukee, which we were the virtual team and the ground team did all the real hands-on work, but it still tugged at our heartstrings. It still pulled at us, and we still had to let the evidence talk to us despite the emotions that we invested into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, very important to compartmentalize the logic and the emotion so that you can help, you can advance, you can provide an avenue, an angle, a perspective that maybe law enforcement wouldn't think of. Just like tonight, if they're watching and me mentioning something about talk to somebody else who's in the same thinking realm as Sebastian, what would he do? Based on what they know, maybe that sparks something. Maybe it did. Maybe they're like, whatever, it's all good. But
yeah,
open-minded.
I think too, Tara, will you post your link for your channel, since I can't do that now?
Let me see if I can find it.
I do think too that we have a responsibility that we don't have to say everything we think, first of all, and second of all, we might have information, but I think that if you have information that has not already been put out on the web, if you have like legit information, then you need to be contacting law enforcement and not coming out with that on social media. Because when you come out with it on social media, you potentially are interfering with an active investigation. And what really matters in the long run is what happened to Sebastian. Where is Sebastian? And that goes for every single case. So just because you can say it, you should not always say it. And we need to be very careful, publicly at least, with our judgment in many of these cases, especially when it comes to missing children.
Yep, agreed.
Totally. So that's all I have to say. I feel like I just kind of complained a little bit there, but I did because it's
cathartic.
stuff that I think all the time, and
She does. Trust me, I hear about it.
yeah, I
accurate.
get really upset with that. So my heart is truly in the right place. And if Cash is still here, Cash, I will change the thumbnail just for you. I totally do understand what you were saying earlier. And I am too very open to criticism. As long as you're respectful about it. If you're not, then you'll find out real quick. But you were respectful, and I appreciate that. And Cash, I'm in all the same chats you are. So we're good. Thank you very much. I will make sure I change it as soon as we're done.
Sweet.
And for everybody else that joined us that doesn't normally, we appreciate you guys, and you're always welcome. You're welcome over here. You guys can always message us. Yeah, you're just welcome to our community as well. And I hope that we have not disappointed you in the way that we'll present information.
I'm disappointed you kicked me out.
I mean, we're going to talk about that when we're done. The other thing is, Tara and I are going to continue to cover the case of Sebastian Rogers.
Yeah.
I have dropped the TBI link multiple times in the chat. It will be in the description if it's not already. Please check out that link for the actual facts that we have been given. Everything else is speculation and rumor. It truly is. So let's leave that part up to law enforcement. Let's do our best to just spread the awareness and keep getting the information out, because you never know. Somebody across the country might spot this kid, or Summer
Correct.
Wells, or any of the other missing ones. So that's what we should be doing. That's how I feel about it.
Agreed.
And with that said, I think the world of all of you that are in the chat, and Tara, of course. I think the world of her. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night.
Bye-bye.
See ya.